Live from Miami, Florida, and places unknown, it's Friday night. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your substitute host. My name is Marcelo, joined with my co-host for this evening, Fathery. How we doing, Fathery?
Howdy, howdy. How's it going? We are not Starfleet Boy, but we are hijacking the After Dark show this week.
Yeah, he had to do some family get together, so we are subbing basically. But
Yeah,
he'll be
bit of a
around.
family emergency. No, nothing too alarming. It sounds like, but he had other priorities that needed to be addressed. So we were more than happy to step up and help out because there's a there's a lot of people who look forward to the hashtag TQIF lineup every weekend, and we can't have the TQIF lineup without having Starfleet Boy After Dark.
Yep.
The yin and the yang to my text trek yin. So here we
Yeah.
are. The show must go on, as they say.
Yep. So I figured that we should start out the evening talking about the finale of the first season of Peacemaker. Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, that's a big one. That's gonna be a big big whammy of a conversation because there is some unexpected, well, maybe somewhat expected. But there was some cameo appearances. If you're following anything else in the DCEU, but also a very satisfying conclusion to the story, in my opinion. I everyone I know who's watched Peacemaker has been enjoying. Well, I shouldn't say everyone because I know this last episode ruffled a few feathers that I find kind of hilarious, but very small, very toxic, very vocal subsection of fans, I think. But beyond them, I think most people have been pretty happy with Peacemaker. But I don't know. I don't want to speak for you. How was your reaction to how they wrapped up the season?
I was really pleasantly. I enjoyed it really all the way through. I was really shocked by some of the things that they did. I was really afraid for some of the characters, but I'm happy to say that for the most part they're fine and they're intact. That cameo, I was told that there was something special, but I didn't know it was going to be that. And one of my friends told me that there's a possibility that I was going to be happy, but I was going to be upset at the same time. And I will tell you that when that cameo showed up, I just loved it and I just laughed at it. I wasn't upset with it, I laughed at it.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be our reaction. We should talk a little like non spoilers for a little bit, and then we'll like get into like the big spoilery talk. But the spoiler warning has been given. It's gonna start slipping out soon. So if you have not watched the finale of Peacemaker yet, be warned. But yeah, they also announced that the second season is officially set in stone, has the green light. I don't know if we have any type of idea on when they'll start production or when it might be released, but that's good to know that it's on the way.
Yeah, I mean, mostly all the people that I've spoken to about Peacemaker, they really love the show, and it's great that a show like this has a really positive fan base for the most part, and it's really great that a show like this gets a second season, especially on a place like HBO that has such high quality content.
Yeah, and it's weird that like I think it's unfortunate like the DC brand was kind of tarnished by some unsuccessful movies early on when they started the DC extended universe because I feel like a lot of their best works go under the radar and they don't command the same level of devotion as say like their big competitor Marvel being the highest grossing film franchise of all time. So it's ridiculous. Like some years, like 30% of the movie made in Hollywood is on on Marvel movies or some crazy number like that. So yeah, DC does not command that level of loyalty at all. So that was one of the sad things I saw initially was uh, there were all these reports of like no one is watching Peacemaker even though it's so good. But I think now through word of mouth and HBO and Warner Brothers having confidence in the show and giving it a second season, I think it really has a lot of potential to become like a big hit. So I'm very happy to see it continue and live on.
For
James
me,
Gunn is good. James Gunn is fucking good.
yeah, man, he's really really great. But for me, the whole issue with DC, as to their lack of loyalty from their fans, is that when DC started out the universe, they had no lack of direction.
There's no roadmap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They didn't have Kevin Feige like
yeah,
planning it
yeah.
all out. There's no
Mhm.
big picture guy.
Yeah, yeah. There was no big picture, guys. So, and the other thing is that they were extremely reactionary. So it seems like to me that they just had more fun, throwing shit up at a dartboard, seeing what sticked, than
Yeah.
to actually have a plan.
Yeah, let me go on this Batman tangent for just a second, and then we'll bring it back into Peacemaker because this is going to key off what you just said. But I always talk to people about like the Batman movies, how there really has never been a pure Batman movie since 1966 with Adam West. You know when they did like that TV show, they made a movie also, and that's the only time there is like a pure. This is our attempt at a Batman adaptation for the big screen that is not in reaction to anything else. Because then everything after that, they were reacting to what came before. In 1989, after they had already made like these really popular Christopher Reeve Superman movies, they're like, we should try to make a really popular Batman movie, but we don't want it to be like that stupid, campy Adam West 1960s stuff. So let's get Tim Burton. Let's go in like this weird, dark, gothic type visual style. Let's get Jack Nicholson, the dude from fucking Psycho, or not Psycho, uh, The Shining. We're gonna put the Shining guy as Joker. That's gonna be nuts. That's gonna be scary. Let's make this serious. This is like the serious fucking dark Batman movie. Michael Keaton, Tim Burton, Jack Nicholson, and so that was a reaction to the Adam West type stuff. Then that movie was insane. 1989. That movie did gangbusters at the box office. So they're like, oh, that made a lot of money, so let's do a sequel, Batman Returns. Okay, Tim Burton, you made us so much money with that movie. You know what? Just go nuts. Do whatever you want in Batman Returns. So then Tim Burton makes it super duper Tim Burton-y. Batman Returns is I mean I loved it as a kid in the theater, but that is a wacky ass. You have like penguins, like this penguin mutant raised by the circus. Selena Kyle, I guess, has like 9 lives. Then Christopher Walken comes in there as like Max Shrek, which is weird Tim Burton stuff. And then they were like, oh, whoa, slow down. Warner Brothers reacted to that. They're like, that's too Tim Burton-y. We need to go a different direction. Batman Forever. Let's bring in Joel Schumacher. And they got all like weird and campy and stuff. And they're like, more of that. Batman and Robin. Oh, that was too much of that. Oh, look at this Christopher Nolan. Let's go like dark and gritty. And then they did the Nolan trilogy, and I like the Nolan trilogy. But then, Zack Snyder came and did his Batman, and he's like, oh, like that was like dark, hardcore, badass Batman. I'm gonna make my Batman, even more dark, even more hardcore. And then people, saw Batman v Superman, and so people were like, no, like that went too far. So then they do the Justice League, the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League, and they have Batman like oh something's bleeding, like they made him like all the jokey stuff. Like, I don't not like you, Superman. And then now people are like, oh my God, that's too stupid. That's too goofy. That's too silly. And so Warner Brothers like, hey, like, let's go dark and gritty again. Now we have like the Matt Reeves Batman. So yeah, exactly what you were saying. Perfect example there. They're always reacting to what came before.
Hmm. Hmm. For me personally, I love the two Batman films that Tim Burton did with 89 and 92, I believe, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to the Joel Schumacher Batmans, even as a kid, I enjoyed them, but I felt something in the back of my mind when I was a kid watching those movies. As much as I enjoyed watching them, I felt like something was wrong, and
Yeah,
like something wasn't quite right.
it
And
didn't
I was like,
match.
yeah, and I was like, why am I feeling this way as a kid? And I really wasn't able to put my finger on it until I saw what Christopher Nolan did in 2005 with the first, uh, with Batman Begins. I was like, when I saw Batman Begins for the first time, I was like, okay, this is the Batman that I kind of was missing, or that I kind of thought I was missing when I was a kid.
It parenthesis I is here. It says I want to say hi to PE. He says greetings, but
Hmm. Yep.
this isn't text trek, so I actually got to read. I got to read all the comments. Got to pay attention. I
Yeah.
try to get to him. I try to get to him on text track. I have a lot of ground to cover on that show, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about Zack Snyder, so I will really say this quickly. I like Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, but I do think that with the theatrical version of Batman v Superman, I do think that the studio got in his way and didn't let him make the film that he wanted to make. So much so that when his version was released on Blu-ray and DVD, and those extra 30 minutes were added. Those extra 30 minutes made all the difference in the world to me. They made me love his true version of Batman v Superman way more than I did the theatrical version. As a matter of fact, I hated the theatrical version of Batman v Superman. So yeah, there's that too.
oh, well, you and me both. But I don't think I'll like the extended cut. But
Mm-hmm.
Cerulean Blue is also here. He says here in listing, just eating dinner. Currently can't type.
Mm-hmm.
Cerulean Blue, as I recall, like you don't like the DC stuff. But we will talk about Star Trek later. I promise. We have very very juicy Star Trek stuff to talk about. We just gotta get this Peacemaker stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing that before we pivot back to Peacemaker, the other thing that is going to be very interesting. A couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, the Federal Trade Commission okayed Discovery's proposal take over Warner Bros. So it will be very interesting to see what direction DC goes in
yeah,
after they're under the direct supervision of Discovery.
I'm actually worried about that because the guy who's CEO of Discovery, he's been very risk adverse in his career. Like Discovery makes a lot of their money off of like reality TV shows because those are like very cheap and they don't like to do any like risky projects. So there's a concern that like he might want to avoid expensive movies if it's not like a proven something like Batman that's like been a proven success. I am also worried about like what might happen with like DC Comics because as much as I like talking about like these movies and shows and stuff, my heart is always with the the actual comics. So I don't know what's going to happen with that company because they're also part of Warner Brothers. They fall under the umbrella. But yeah, I hope good things happen in the future. I'm scared that bad things might happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's part of the game of following this industry and how the things wax and wane and the tide goes in, the tide goes out. But I mean, hopefully there's good times. I'm really liking a lot of the DC output lately. Like I love the stuff that they've done in conjunction with uh, HBO has been like Doom Patrol, Stargirl, Superman and Lois. I love all those. A lot of the movies I've liked lately. The Suicide Squad. Speaking of James Gunn, I thought was a lot of fun. Mm, Looking forward to Aquaman. I thought the first one was a big over the top goofy movie, and I I like that they actually like tried to not take seriously, but like give a character like no one was really like beating on the door saying, give us a big budget Aquaman movie. But they're like, you know what? Here you go. We're going to go all out, no stops. We're going to put Black Manta in there, Ocean Master, and then like all that shit. And, for me, it worked. For general audiences, it worked. That movie did killer at the box office, made more money than any Batman or Superman movie. There's Marcelo. I mean, there's Ruben.
How's it going, everybody?
Howdy,
It's
Ruben. Good
going.
evening.
We're talking about Peacemaker and the Peacemaker finale, which I'm assuming Ruben's never seen a single episode of that show.
I saw the first episode.
First episode. Um, but yeah, in the audience, Princess I says, I'm happy that Peacemaker now has a little alien moth friend, but am sad that they had to kill the detective lady whose body that alien took over. Yeah, the that Asian lady did not survive. So I guess we're in full blown spoilers at this point. But yeah, we the finale, Marcelo. We had the defeat of the cow. The almost they kind of teased us with the deaths of Vigilante and Harcourt being like
Hardcore.
right at the right at death's doorway, like
Door, yeah.
almost killing them off, but kind of copying out at the last minute. Eagly we thought was going to get a big moment, but that was played for a joke that was kind of hilarious. Peacemaker having to make like an important choice. We find out more about the villain motivation, and it was actually kind of complicated. And then the big cameo of the Justice League showing up too late to do anything.
Yeah, I really was surprised when Harcourt was on death's door. That really surprised me. I mean, Vigilante going down scared me, but Harcourt almost being on death's door really scared the crap out of
I
me.
thought they were gonna kill her at first. I thought like when you're like coughing up blood like that, that normally means you're gonna
Yeah,
die in movies. But
yeah.
then they drew it out too long. I was like, oh, they're not gonna kill her. But I was so happy when they were holding hands at the end that I was okay with it.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking like, man, like I like when characters have to like earn their victories. Like it should be hard. Like winning the day should be costly when the stakes are this high. But they did. They lost to Mern a couple episodes ago. So,
Hmm.
and I definitely felt like Economos was put through the ringer. Economos got like the emotional moment where we learn more about what's going on inside his head
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
why he dyes his beard.
Yeah. When he was talking to one of the bugs, and he was going through the whole reason why he dyes his beard, that really was really really sad, and we really got a good chance to know him really at the 11th hour. And I thought that really added some extra layers to his character that was really really well needed, because up until that point he was being used as a bit of a joke for Peacemaker and for others in the series up until that point. At least I thought.
And the audience, Princess I says, Peacemaker now hallucinates about his father, who he killed, just like Kylo Ren does in Rise of Skywalker. That was actually one thing that bugged me. No pun intended, but it bugged me. Because I feel like we've seen oh, I killed this person, or somebody killed this person, they're dead, but I'm gonna like hallucinate them still being alive. I feel like it's kind of trite and played out. However, it ties into the larger theme of the show. And it does kind of allow us to still have what's his name, Robert Patrick, that actor, T-1000, Agent
Yeah,
Doggett.
yeah,
It does
Agent
allow
Target.
him to be in season two. But the bigger theme, James Gunn, I think, is really telling a story about things like masculinity and toxic masculinity, and also like this identity of like I'm like the all American red blooded white man, and what that demands, and trying to live up to like these. I think it's like a common thing, like a lot of like men coming to age, deal with like wrestling with they like living up to like their father, stuff like that. And um also the idea of like, yeah, a lot of us, like our parents believed like really bad things. And like his defense of it, his dad's like literally a Klansman basically, and he's like, oh, like he's not that bad, like I'm not racist, and he's just like doesn't understand. He's of his time and stuff like that. People like excuse that type of shit, and a big part of him, a big part of Peacemaker's arc was rejecting that to the point where he kills his dad. But that baggage and all of that negativity and toxicity, it stays with you. It's part of you. And him like having the ghost dad that he hallucinates represents that.
I for one really liked how James Gunn handled the character of Peacemaker for the most part because coming into the show, I was saying,
You
James
hated
Gunn,
him.
yeah. Coming into the show, I hated him and I said, James Gunn really had to do some serious work for me to really love this character. And I really liked what he did, specifically in that we got to really know Peacemaker as an individual. And we really got to know why he is the way he is. And the way that James Gunn, visualized that was he explored Peacemaker's relationship with his father. And I thought that that was extremely well handled. And the way that John Cena acted during those final moments with his father was just heartbreaking and so well done, I thought. But it'll be really interesting to see if his relationship with his ghost father now in season two is going to cause John Cena to deal with some deeper issues that we didn't see in season one, or is it going to be played mostly for laughs? What do you think, Father?
I mean, knowing Gunn, it'll probably have both like deeper meaning, but also be a source for jokes as well. That's kind of what he does. That's kind of what the skill that I think he honed on the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then here in Peacemaker, it's on like full display. He's a master of.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't like. Still, my favorite moment from the series was really early on when Peacemaker refused to kill that family, and Vigilante just came and said, "Give me the gun," and started whistling Dixie basically while he was murdering that family.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment of the series, if you had one?
Oh, out of the entire show, um, it might have been like the when they're bonding in the van and they declare themselves the 11th Street kids, right? And then like they have like that group chat when they're you really see them like come together as a family.
Mhm.
Um, and then like when they fought had to fight the gorilla together. I don't know. I think that episode. Or I feel like something like more recent than that. There's like a cool sequence of them working together. But I think yeah, that's what I have enjoyed the most. Is kind of like them bonding as a team, and that's ultimately why Peacemaker makes the choice he does at the end. We find out like when the butterflies when they reveal their master plan, it's like we're trying to save your planet. You have all like these. It talks about like real world shit. People who don't want to accept any responsibility, and y'all are just gonna destroy. You're gonna wreck your world, ruin it because people here don't want to step up and take responsibility for anything. So we're gonna take over. We're gonna take control of them. We're gonna make you act right. Like hell, maybe we need someone to do. It's worth I'm not saying I agree with it 100%, but it's worth taking the moment to think about. But he knew those butterflies. I guess like to cover their tracks to keep it all secret. They would have killed the rest of his team, and
Yeah,
he says that's why he stopped them.
yeah. I mean, that really shows Peacemaker's growth as a character because the first time that we saw him in the Suicide Squad, for the lack of a better word, he was a puppet for the government. But
Yeah,
in this
a good
series,
soldier. He is following
right,
orders.
right, yes, in the Suicide Squad movie, he was a good soldier following orders. But in this series, I think he really learned the meaning of two things. He learned the meaning of what true friendship really is, and he learned the meaning of family. And he chose his friendship and his family over the greater good, basically, in this episode, if you really boil it down. And I really really liked that choice, and I liked it very very much. I don't know where they're going to go in season two, but I am really really intrigued to see where they go and what they do basically.
The couple comments from Parenthesis I. He says Kylo Ren must have had serious father issues with his father Han Solo, but all the details of that was never explored on screen. Yeah, I agree. I think some of that was kind of mishandled. They do have like a throwaway line in that movie though, where Kylo Ren says something like, "You're not real. You're just my memories" or something. That was like kind of to explain why that happened, but and then parenthesis I goes on to say, with the Ghost Father, Eagly, Vigilante, and the Alien Moth, it's like Peacemaker has a whole entourage that follows him around. Just like, yeah, that's a packed trailer house right now with all of them hanging out there.
Yeah, I like I going into Peacemaker, I wasn't really thrilled because, as you know, I was very very not pleased with
Because he
Peacemaker
killed
as a
Rick
character.
Flag.
Yeah, yeah, I was not pleased with Peacemaker as a character. So I was just so happy to see a really really well crafted TV series from week to week from James Gunn, a hell of a storyteller, and I can't wait to see where he goes to next with these characters. I really can't wait for it now.
Well, that's one of the things that have observed people will do with fiction. And I'm saying it was not an easy task by any means, so don't get it twisted. You know, James Gunn writing a show where you do forgive Peacemaker after he killed Rick Flag. I mean, like that moment in the Suicide Squad, it's there to make the audience solidify around the idea of like, wow, this guy is the real villain. I want to see Idris Elba put a stop to him.
Right.
I'm gonna root against him, and it was essential for that movie to have the payoffs that ensue after that. Uh, so now you have to do the impossible task of, okay, well, now how do we get the audience to change their mind on him? And I feel like in real life, you know, we talk a lot about like cancel culture and stuff, but I'm not like buying into the whole notion of like I think that's like a very complicated, nuanced thing. Jesse Gender just put out a really great video on that, by the way. So I recommend people watch out the Jesse Gender video that came out today. But you know, like yeah, like people do like to cancel uh assholes when they do bad stuff these days. But in fiction, have you noticed how we as a people, as a culture, we're a lot more forgiving. You know, like Darth Vader saves Luke and overthrows the Emperor, literally like overthrows him down the shaft, and like we kind of forgive Darth Vader, even though he was basically running around like a space Nazi for decades. Um,
Yeah.
you know, forgiving Peacemaker, but part of the reason why you can do it in fiction is you can actually show what that character is like really feeling. You know, like when you see him like alone in his bedroom crying, like you know, he's like Rick Flag was right, I'm a fucking joke. Like we get to see the turmoil in him and understand that he actually does, you know, have a change of heart. In real life, it's harder to tell, you know, what's in people's hearts, but in fiction, we can explore that level of humanity in a way that we can't do in actual life.
Yeah, that is a really really great point. I mean, yeah, we can for some reason we are hardwired as a society to be able to forgive our characters in fiction much more than we are able to forgive a a controversial figure in reality, for example. And that's a very very interesting dichotomy, I think. Like I'm fascinated by why we're able to do one thing one place, but we're not able to do that very same thing for people that are actually here in society with us,
I
for
mean,
lack of
there's
a better
there's a
word.
huge difference between Vader redeeming himself and dying for it, and Peacemaker getting a season two, and nothing really matters because they're just gonna have to recycle stories and like he gets to keep murdering. That's that. You know what I mean? That's not us forgiving him. We just like the entertainment. It's like watching gladiatorial combat or car races. We wait for the car crash. You like to
Okay.
watch the murderer.
Well, it is convenient when redemption character does die when they do like the
I mean, that's the
self-sacrifice.
whole point of the redemption. Otherwise, there's nothing to it. If the guy gets to keep living and enjoy his life, and he gets to murder, that you know what I'm saying? Like that. That's my big issue with Star Trek nowadays. Is that everybody apparently gets to murder people, and it's all good. It doesn't really fucking matter, and we just keep going. That's a
Hmm.
huge issue to me in fiction storytelling on a psychological level of society that we're okay with that.
Okay. I mean, that's a really good point.
That's to me why politicians get away with murder because we're like, hey, he's just human, you know. No, he's not just human. He's making decisions that affect other people's lives and then not paying consequences for it. I mean,
hmm
I haven't seen Peacemaker, so I don't want to say anything about Peacemaker. But I'm just saying in
So,
general, we try
so
to make these sympathetic villains as if that matters. Like Thanos. I don't give a shit if Thanos has human feelings about anything. He murdered billions of people. Period. End
yeah.
of story. He goes to prison forever, and that's it. I don't care if he's sympathetic or, like what they tried to do with Darth Vader and try to give you this whole complicated backstory about like the story was told in the original three movies. You didn't need any of the backstory, but
hmm
they do it anyway because that's a weird trend in postmodern entertainment
hmm
of like sympathizing, making villains sympathetic. Like I don't give a shit if Hitler helped an old lady cross the street once. It doesn't make a difference to me, or if he was abused as a child. Yeah, okay, lots of people get abused as children and don't go on to murder 10 million people, you know, on a whim. So it's weird. It's a weird trend in fiction to me,
No, I
and
think
a disturbing one.
I think that brings up a better, more interesting issue about the human condition. What is it about murderers in fiction that we can accept? Like, why do we do that as a society when we watch it in fiction? What causes us to do that? Like, I don't want to, I don't want to spend, the time that we have tonight sort of deconstructing our own psyches, but it's just a really interesting premise to take apart, um, and sort of really sit with and sort of think about. Of
I mean, I think a
of
part of it is just art tends to move into things that haven't been explored.
Right.
And we've done the classic hero, the Captain America, who's goody goody, you know, and now we're in a much more cynical world where we feel like we have no heroes.
hmm
So we kind of almost put villains and heroes on almost the exact same plane, where
hmm
heroes are, even the thought of like, if you think about it, how American are superheroes? They get to destroy all the property they want, cause all the chaos they want, answer to nobody or anybody, never pay consequences for it, and they're considered the hero. When in
No.
reality, people like Superman are probably murdering millions of thousands of people on a daily basis from just one fight. He's not trying to. I get that, and that's not his motivation. He's trying to defend, and there's what collateral damage. But like, it's a
hmm
very strange phenomenon. I don't understand it. I don't know why. I don't know what. I think it's just a lot of cynicism of the modern age. So we
hmm
don't really see us having heroes anymore, which was one reason I actually liked J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek because the Kirk was more of a classic hero.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
I, I definitely agree that like we should still have characters like that. I mean, my favorite fictional character of all time is Superman because I think he's a
All
great
right, and look what
representation
they
of
did to
that.
him.
Well, I didn't like what they did with him, but that's why I prefer the TV show they're doing now than the recent
Right,
movies.
right.
But yeah, you're definitely right of there being a trend with that.
It's weird.
Um, we speaking of Superman, we get the clearly like they cast a guy who kind of looks like Henry Cavill in the shadows, but they don't show his face at the end of Peacemaker, the last episode. You see Superman, but you don't really see his face. You see Wonder Woman, but you don't really see her face because they couldn't get Gal Gadot. And then the only two that you see is Jason Momoa Aquaman, and then Ezra Miller Flash, and like they get to like talk to each other, but you don't get to see a good look at Superman's face or Wonder Woman's face.
Mhm. For a second, I thought Batman was in the lineup, but I actually had to freeze frame. I'm like, Batman's not there.
They don't want to. So I think it's if you've been looking around on the internet, I think it's like really apparent what they're about to do with Batman with their Flash
Oh yeah.
movie and what'll carry on in the Batgirl movie coming to HBO next year.
Hmm.
I don't know if people want to hear that, so maybe we can always bring that up in a future conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty. I'm like almost 100% sure that I know exactly what's going to happen with the Flash movie. I think I know
Yeah,
exactly what they're going to do. Um, Now, whether that's because I've been watching, the CW's Flash for eight seasons now, or whether I'm just well versed in comic book lore, but I think I know exactly what's going to happen. Um, but I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it. Um, I I just want to say that I think that DC is really on the upswing, and I think, like you mentioned earlier in our conversation, that they're putting out some really, really, really good stuff. Uh, Specifically with HBO Max, they're putting out. I really like Stargirl a lot. I got to get back into that.
yeah. No, I
Um,
love Stargirl.
yeah, I haven't seen the most recent season, but I gotta get back into it. Yeah, it's just really refreshing seeing them, sort of find their footing. It's just a shame that they're gonna they're gonna get their footing chopped out from under them here in a little bit, because they're looking at a corporate merger really soon. That that you mentioned early on kind of scares the crap out of you.
Yeah. Um, I'm not sure and that's just Warner Brothers across the board. I'm not really sure what the Discovery people are going to want to do, but I
Sorry, what
I
what merger are you talking about?
Discovery is in like the Discovery Channel
Okay, yeah, yeah.
in Warner Brothers. Mainly because Ruben, you're probably aware of this, but like their business model has been extremely risk adverse. They pump out, like the Learning Channel and all that shit. They pump out like a bunch of those like reality TV shows like 90 Day Fiance and
Which is
um
massively popular.
yeah, and massively cheap.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, you mean we can just find morons that want to be on TV and just hire a producer and a cameraman to follow them around?" Well, hell, that sounds pretty damn easy and cheap. Let's do that. So now that guy's going to be in charge of Warner Brothers, and that includes both DC Comics and DC movies and DC
Mhm.
TV shows.
Yep.
So I don't know if the choices he's going to make are going to be great for people who enjoy that type of stuff.
So they named
Yeah,
him okay.
yeah, I
An
guess,
interesting choice.
I guess, only time will tell to see how he's gonna choose to delegate and how he's gonna choose to and how he's gonna choose to handle the situation. Um,
Yeah, I mean, at least he's. So you're saying it's the guy who ran Discovery is now going to run Warner Brothers. That's
Yes.
it.
yep, yep.
Well, at least he comes from a background where he's made successful television. As opposed to he's like some finance guy or something,
No,
Yeah.
or he's like
he's not.
former
But
head of HR.
Yeah,
he's
he's not
also going to be in charge of HBO Max and everything else that falls under
umbrella.
that umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah. The skinny on him. I mean, this might be wrong, but this is what I've heard through the grapevine. Um, the skinny on him is that he likes to let his heads of departments sort of do their own thing, and the skinny on him is that he likes to work. He likes the collaborative environment. So that really gives me hope that he will sort of let his department heads sort of run their department, but he will give them support whenever they need it. Because my biggest problem with DC is for years upon years, DC, like you mentioned, Fathery, never had anybody at the top that was willing to work with other people to make a cohesive vision.
Yeah, they didn't have a
And I
Kevin Feige.
right, right. And I think, look, I may be wrong about this. I think that he is an individual that will be willing to work with his creative departments to help them, achieve what they want to achieve in the best way that he can. Now, I may be completely wrong, but that really gives me a flare of hope moving forward
Mhm.
for the future of DC on television. I could be wrong, but uh, those are my feelings.
Well, one of the things that Warner Brothers seems that like they've always wanted with these DC movies that they've been making in recent years is like with Christopher Nolan, they had a guy who like came in with, like a very specific vision and he sold them. They bought into what he wanted to do, and they're like, okay, here, go do it. And they're like, okay, that worked. Do your sequel. And then The Dark Knight made a shitload of fucking money. And then they're like, okay, well, do the third one. And they gave him a lot of creative control. And I think that they're always kind of on the like basically like they don't want to like plan this out or think it out. They want to have like filmmakers who show up and like know what to do with these characters that they probably don't know what to do themselves. And
Right.
sometimes they gave Zack Snyder a lot of creative freedom until they didn't.
Hmm.
I know you and I disagree. Like you like the Zack Snyder vision.
Yes, I
I
do.
do not like it. But when they let they let him do what he wanted to do for a little bit, and then they tried to take it out of his control. They basically created a situation where they pissed everyone off.
Hmm.
They pissed me off because I didn't want the Zack Snydery stuff to begin with, and then they pissed you off
Zack
when they
Snyder is basically a grim, dark J.J. Abrams.
yeah. I think that's
Like
accurate.
very,
A
very,
grim dark,
very focused on visuals and feeling, and not much else.
a grim
Well,
dark J.J. Abrams. I like that.
yeah. Um, but that's also like I think a bigger problem we see with like a lot of Hollywood is people don't like. They pointed this out on Red Letter Media. They talk about like Steven Spielberg, like he never tried to like write his own scripts. He would always like he would hire writers who really understood on a technical level, constructing a narrative,
Hmm.
and then Spielberg would go shoot. He'd be like, okay, give me that script. I'll go turn it to a movie. I'll go shoot this. But now, like I think the style with like a lot of the modern writers, like you were saying, yeah, you get like these directors that they're just about like the visuals and the emotion, and the more the plottier stuff. The
A lot of Hollywood's obsessed has been obsessed with Save the Cat for almost 30 years now,
yeah, you've
and so it's just
mentioned that.
a plug and play story, and then you get a guy who can do great visuals, and that's it.
Plug
You don't
and
have to worry
play.
about anything
Yeah, and
else.
that's why we see a little bit more interesting writing in the television world, where the writers are the ones in charge, not the directors.
Right.
Mm.
And Save the Cat doesn't evolve or apply as easily to a 10 episode TV show as it does a 2.5 hour
Nope.
movie.
I'm
Mm.
gonna knock out these other comments from PE, but he says in a way, season one of Peacemaker is similar to the season one of the Book of Boba Fett, in that bad guy character who seemingly died in a movie turned out to not be dead, but was seriously injured. Yeah, it's like a comic book trope of like, oh, that character didn't actually die. We'll bring him back for our story. That's just a classic comic book thing. He also says, and then they go through a process of self discovery and personal change while also killing people along the way. And then he says, I think Zack Snyder's Watchmen was pretty good, but I attribute that to him just following what was in the comic book, not inserting his own stuff into it. I agree with that. I think Watchmen is an incredibly great story. I love what Alan Moore and Dave Gibbon did with that graphic novel. I think it is probably the best comic ever written. And yeah, Zack Snyder just translated a lot of that directly to the film, and a lot of that stuff is still strong enough to come out very well in the final version.
Hmm.
I mean, to me, it's the best cinematic version of the comic book you'll probably ever see, because that's not a comic book meant to be a movie.
Yeah.
meant to be read. So
Yeah.
I give kudos to Zack Snyder for that one because he did just follow the story on. Well, that's actually what I've said it for years about Zack Snyder. If you look at his better movies that stand the test of time, you got 300, where he basically followed the plot of the comic almost directly, and it's a pretty simple story. You got Watchmen, where he didn't try to do anything with the story and just applied his granted amazing visuals. You know, he's Michael Bay, except he went to art school and it looks way better. Uh, so when he does his best, it's like so like when he fails miserably, it's like things like Sucker Punch, where it's all about the visuals, the story is nonsensical.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about all these YouTube channels that try to make it into this poetic narrative about trauma and whatever.
Nope.
Shut the hell up. It's not. It's a movie. It's a fucking guy movie to jerk off to. And if it didn't have dialogue and it was just music, it'd be amazing.
That'd be great. No, I mean that movie
That movie is
is
terrible.
yeah, that movie's wonderful, but to make it wonderful, just turn off the sound.
I mean, I wish I could turn off the dialogue and just
Yeah,
listen to
well,
the music with the visuals.
yeah, yeah.
They do that sometimes. They'll have like the DVD or Blu-ray releases where they have like the music only track on there. I've seen that before.
Because I would
but
watch a music only version of that movie. It's beautiful to look at, and then like all the
No, I mean,
samurai versus dragons and miniguns and all that like 14-year-old boy masturbatory
yeah,
shit.
I saw it one time in the theater and I hated it so much. I've never revisited it. But it does have like all the stuff you're describing. I remember those visuals. It did have very memorable visuals.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, guns, samurais, and girls. Come on, you can't go wrong with that.
Zack Snyder special.
Yeah, I mean, the other Zack Snyder film that I saw that I really don't think a lot of people talk about is his animated film, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
But that was based on a novel, right? It was based on a book.
Yeah, I believe so. I thought that was really, really good. Visually, it was great, and I thought the story was pretty solid.
Like, not to credit Man of Steel with anything because I find it just a disgusting, detestable movie. I'm not even a Superman fan, but I feel like if I were a Superman fan, I would be like even more incensed about that movie. But I will give him credit about a few things, and I wish he had the wherewithal to be like Steven Spielberg and be like, hey, or Stanley Kubrick, who Stanley Kubrick wrote a lot of his early movies. All those movies failed. Then he started working with writers and focusing on the directing and suddenly became Stanley Kubrick. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like there's a reason there's different jobs and the thing. And some guys can do both, but
yeah, like Tarantino. Tarantino
yeah.
is an incredible writer. You listen to his dialogue is like it doesn't even make sense like that he can write He can write a scene about like five guys talking about like Madonna's like a virgin. but yeah, like he makes like the most watchable scenes off of the dumbest fucking dialogue. He is an incredible writer and an incredible director.
Right.
But he's like a one in a generation level creator.
Very and even then there's limitations to that because you're gonna get very Tarantino things, and it's very hard to do for Tarantino to really do other things that don't seem so Tarantino. It's the same kind of issue with Nolan because Christopher Nolan's a pretty good writer too, but Nolan has these it's every creator has their kind of things that drive them in a way, and like if you notice, Nolan has a lot of things with time, and so it's like I sometimes feel that Nolan's movies are he's so obsessed with the concept that he forgets about the kind of the humanity in the story.
Yes,
and it feels very detached. Like Kubrick, I love Kubrick,
like
one of my
Nolan.
favorite directors, but I feel that from Kubrick too, where it's like there's this detachment of like I'm not human, I'm some god artist that's just creating this piece of work.
Well, we talked about Alan Moore and Watchmen a second ago, and I think Alan Moore is the single best comic book writer who has ever lived. We're talking about like guys who like just write, not people that are like writers and artists. Talking about like directors and writers, but yeah, like I think Alan Moore is the single best comic book writer who has ever walked the earth. However, a lot of his stories they're so like they're like a big complex machine, and everything is so like meticulously designed down to the finest minute detail, that the whole machine functions correctly, but sometimes it loses that heart, it loses that humanity, and it just feels like this, it's like this big heady idea, this big heady concept, but it's like
Right.
there's no like human nature, there's no like human heart at the center of it. Sometimes it still does come through though. um Christopher Nolan, I think, is the same way, but even worse. And I still, in
I
spite of
think
that, I
he's
still
getting
like a lot of
worse.
his stuff.
I think he's progressively getting worse. The
Yeah,
more I
because
watch,
his
the
his
more I see
brother,
his
you
movies, the more I'm like, you kind of just got a little bit full of yourself. It seems now.
because his brother used to write the scripts for him, and now
Yeah,
like
they used
lately with his last couple of outings, it's just been Nolan on his own, and I think yeah, he needs someone to like grounded in more humanity.
His brother Jonathan Nolan is a really outstanding writer in his own right. He works with his wife primarily, and they do some really amazing stuff, and they're really a good writing team. I love Westworld. I love the show that they're gonna do for Amazon TV. I think they're gonna do Fallout. They're gonna do a series based on the
Oh
series Fallout, I
yeah, I
think.
just saw there was some casting for that.
who's
The
doing what? Who? What?
Amazon Prime's
Yeah,
doing a Fallout show, and that guy, what's his name,
yeah.
Groggins, that actor, he tried to cut off
Walter
Django's
Goggins?
dick in Django Unchained.
Goggins,
Walter
Walter
Goggins.
Goggins.
Goggins?
Yeah.
He's gonna be the
Yeah.
bad guy in the Fallout show.
Yeah, no, but Fallout is being adapted by Christopher Nolan's brother Jonathan Nolan and
Yeah.
his
Uh,
wife Lisa Joy. And I particularly think that they're really good writers, but I will acknowledge that sometimes they are up their own ass. Specifically with Westworld, because they make Westworld unusually complicated, especially the first two seasons. That the thing about the reason why I love Westworld season three so much is that they sort of really got the message that they were getting too complicated. They were getting too complicated, and they focused on a story that I thought was much more streamlined. Not to make this a whole Westworld rant, but I'm just saying that I think Jonathan Nolan is a much better writer than his brother in the fact that Jonathan Nolan is not drinking his own Kool-Aid, and I think Christopher Nolan is drinking his own Kool-Aid, and I think Christopher Nolan is just getting too big for his britches.
like I'd love to see him do another movie like Memento.
Yeah.
That'd be really
Just
cool.
scaled down, super character focused, story focused. Like
But
this. What was the last one he did? That was like
Or like
pushing towards
Insomnia.
almighty. Yeah, something
Insomnia
like
was good.
Insomnia. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
or the Prestige was really good too. That was cool.
Oh, the Prestige was amazing. Yeah, yeah. Stuff
No,
like
but
that where it's
yeah,
like more scaled down and
yeah,
focused on story rather than. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't
No,
want to say it's focused on spectacle, but like that was the last movie he did. Tenet.
Tenet, yeah.
What the hell was going on? Like what? This that movie felt like a movie that was like I'm so fucking smart. People are gonna think I'm like this genius. Like it felt like that.
It was like, and it's actually the plot of it is kind of like a dumb action movie, but it's just like obsessed with like this time travel gimmick.
Right, right.
Mhm.
We'll
No,
figure
but
it out sound design.
you mentioned Memento, Ruben, and the idea for Memento didn't come from Christopher. It came from Jonathan Nolan. It came from his brother.
Right. Though they worked a lot together over the
Yeah.
years. Because I think he
You know.
co-wrote Dark Knight, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
he
He
co-wrote
did.
all three of those
Yeah.
Batman movies.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Dark
he
Knight to
did.
me is one of the most perfect superhero movies
Yeah,
ever
with
made.
David Goyer too. David Goyer worked on a
Let's
story
not
for I
talk
think
about
all
David
three.
Goyer.
Who gives a fuck about David Goyer?
Don't talk about
I
David
don't.
Goyer.
Yeah, yeah. I
Just
don't give
kidding.
a. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about David Goyer.
David
He.
Goyer is an interesting person to talk
Yeah.
about.
David Goyer is a hit and miss writer for me because I love his work on the Batman series. I love what he did with the short-lived Constantine series that he had. I loved his work with the Da Vinci Code that he did. That was short-lived also, but I did not like the way he handled Foundation. I thought that writing was lazy, uninspired, and just no, not uninspired. I just thought it was lazy. From a character building standpoint, I thought that was extremely lazy. Um, but that's just me.
He wrote all three of those Blade movies, but then he directed the third one, and that was
Yeah,
not very good at
yeah,
all.
that was not very good at all.
I do not like him as a director, and I think he's good at story, but not script.
Hmm.
Because I noticed when he does a story for something and someone else writes the script, it seems to be all right.
Yeah,
When he's the one writing it and controlling it, it seems
right.
that something goes wrong. I don't know.
But
Yeah,
At least for me.
I get that. Like I think like for me, I always have more fun if I'm trying to come up with a story. I always have more fun coming up with like the big like plot beats and like the twists and turns in the
Hmm.
story and stuff. And then when it comes down to like the stuff like breaking down the different scenes, like going over all the different beats, then having like flesh out the dialogue and all of that shit. I find that like incredibly difficult, and I don't think I
Mhm.
could ever um
Yeah,
I could never like do that
yeah,
by myself. But
I've
like
never
coming up with
seen
like the
that.
story, I could do that all day.
yeah.
It's really about practice.
Yeah. No, for me as a, I feel like I say this every week, but for me, my favorite thing to do when coming up with story is I like coming up with the bigger with the big beats, and then taking those big beats and then turning them into little beats, which eventually lead to dialogue and story and other things as well. But but then again, that's what I do. So, don't listen to me because I've been doing that for 16 years. So, so um, just a little aside there. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what Christopher Nolan's going to do with his Manhattan Project movie. Because he's gonna do a film about
Robert
um
Oppenheimer.
Robert Oppenheimer. So so that might be well, it's not going to be low budget, but that might be the character story that you're looking for, Ruben. I mean,
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't,
see.
I don't think, I do not think there's going to be any time travel in that.
I hope not.
I think it's gonna have some
Yeah,
type. It's gonna have some type of like weird spin on it. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was actually an alien, or it's gonna do something. He's got like some secret. He's like, I'm not gonna reveal it until like the trailer,
I
and
think.
it's gonna do something off the wall. I think.
No, and the other thing that I really don't understand about Christopher Nolan, and he's done this with his last two projects, he does not seem to care a crap about whether or not people can hear his actual dialogue.
Yeah,
Because
that's annoying. The audio
because
mixing.
because
Hmm.
his audio mixing, especially for, Dunkirk, it was bad, but it wasn't too bad. But
Well, I watch
his
everything with
audio,
subtitles, anyways,
yeah,
because I
yeah,
can't hear dialogue for shit. Like when I go see a movie in the theater, like there's always gonna be like one or two lines of dialogue that were probably
that,
important that I couldn't understand what they were saying. But it definitely seems to be getting worse. I don't know if it's because like I'm getting older, but or if it's just like they're mixing the audio weirdly
right,
these days.
right,
Well, I have
right,
talked to a couple sound. I've interviewed a couple sound designers who have talked to me about the way audio is. So there's an issue with the theatrical experience because some theaters are built in malls, let's say, so they have to be careful with sound bleeding into other businesses.
Hmm.
hmm
So they have these issues. It's sort of happening with lighting too, where they kind of the theater itself started turning down the sound to not bleed. So then sound designer said, "Okay, you're going to do that. We're just going to turn up the masters to kind of
right,
compensate." So it's
right.
causing like it causes like a weird imbalance, especially with movies.
Distortion.
Like I notice it a lot in movies on TV where like there's a dialogue scene, so you start turning it up, and you're like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" And then all of a sudden, boom, explosion, and it's like 5 times as loud as ever, and it's because they have this weird imbalance of like the theater itself is turning things down, so they tune it up. But then when you're tuning it up to something that's loud, it's going to be even louder. And
Hmm
so they've explained to me that it's a weird little battle that goes on, and also the issue of, particularly for home things, is mixing for all the different devices that people watch shit on now.
Yeah, like
The same with
sound
this,
bars
yeah. The
and
same with
TVs and
Yeah. Sound bars and phones and laptops and this and headphones and
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't think about that,
uh,
but yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it. Um,
Oppenheimer is the Batman.
yeah, Daniel Co is here. Hi, Daniel Co. He says, "Good evening, guys. Oppenheimer is the Batman." This new movie is going to be with Universal, and so I
Yeah.
don't think Warner Brothers Discovery would be too happy with Universal Comcast if that was the case. But I don't know.
No.
There could be some Hollywood crossover. I don't know if y'all heard this, but I just found out about this. But to shoot that Justice League cameo, to put that in Peacemaker, they and this is very common in the COVID era, but they couldn't get Momoa and Ezra Miller like there on location when they shot that, so they had to green screen them in. And with Momoa, that was easy breezy because they just went to the Aquaman set and they just shot it from there. With Ezra Miller, he was already done shooting this new Flash movie that comes out this year, and he was actually working on something else. And James Gunn was working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This is how much fucking clout James Gunn has with Warner Brothers and Disney. Listen to this. Disney allowed Ezra Miller to come in as the Flash and let James Gunn shoot that Flash cameo with the Guardians of the Galaxy crew with the Guardians of the Galaxy equipment that they were using to shoot their Marvel movie.
That's cool. That is, I mean, that's really some strong clout, but that's really nice on Disney's part because Disney could have said no.
Because they're trying to make up for when they fired him. Because they fired him and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go make all this Warner Brothers shit. And they're like, no, come back, come do another Guardians of the Galaxy. You want a Christmas special? We'll give you a Christmas special. We'll put it on Disney Plus. Like, what else can we do for you, James?
Yeah, you know what? I forgot about the Christmas special. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's another guy who's I'm not saying like he's like Tarantino level, but I think he's a good writer and a good director.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say he's probably a little bit better of a writer than a director.
Um, when it comes to James Gunn, I like him more as a writer than a director. Um, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
But I don't know if we got much else to say about Peacemaker. Just the one thing I just want to say because I feel like it deserves a lot of praise is, and I think this is my last thought on it. But speaking of James Gunn having so much clout, they told him that you could basically like do whatever you want to do with the DC universe. And because like they are always like referencing or name dropping like certain comic book characters, some of them like more obscure than others, like Matter Eater Lad, he's from the Legion of Superhero. They didn't even go in like the weird thing where he's from 1,000 years in the future. Um, but they're like Green Arrow. We know about like Green Arrow exists in the DCEU now. It actually, to me, it does feel like one of those. It feels like a comic book universe come to life, and I kind of am at the point where like, oh yeah, I can just believe like anything could happen in Peacemaker. It's just like if I was reading a DC comic, and all of a sudden there's like, an eagle that's like a loyal pet like Eagly, or his dad is just like he's like the racist Iron Man basically, and he's has this high tech armor and stuff. It's like I don't need this stuff explained. I know this is like a wacky, crazy comic booky universe where these absurd things are kind of just commonplace, and the TV show kind of captures the spirit of that. So kudos to
yeah,
Gunn.
yeah. I like for me, I've been watching comic book. I've been watching comic book material my entire life, and I did not really have a problem with the world of Peacemaker at all. Even like you just said, we had a crazy racist Iron Man. We had an eagle that can hug people. We had like this room out of time where Peacemaker's father kept everything, but I didn't question anything because yeah, I just
Yeah,
looked at
it's
it
the
like
DC
a
universe. It's just
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
there's a bunch of wacky shit like that.
yeah. You mentioned before that you wanted to talk about, well, you didn't really tell me, but I had a sense that you wanted to talk about the way that you produce podcasts or something like that. I had a
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. I want to read this comment from Daniel Co. He says, when I went to my local IMAX last weekend to see the Beatles' final concert, the music was almost concert level. So there were subtitles so you could tell what was being said as the music was playing. That's another
Oh,
thing.
cool.
Yeah, that's cool that they. It sounds like it was presented
Did
pretty
that.
well. But that was badass in IMAX. Um, but some theaters are gonna start like showing movies with captions on, and I'm probably gonna start going to see those. Especially like when I'm watching things like Star Trek or things that like I really want to like take note, make sure I get all the little details. I love having the captions because it's all there on screen. I'm not gonna miss any of it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I've been, sort of, having to deal with what you've been dealing with lately. In that, sometimes I just miss things and I have to rewind and put on the captions for a quick second to figure out um, what was being said. Um, but my hearing is still pretty decent. It's not great, but it's pretty decent. So I'll just
Well, I've gone to a lot of loud concerts that that
uh,
weren't at the IMAX theater, but in real life. And I used to work at a place that was like bad for your hearing, and I didn't wear my earplugs all the time like I was supposed to. So
oh
it's it, recommended that you use that safety equipment. I guess
yeah.
I can attest to that. But yeah, speaking of like things that we hear, if anyone wants to hear about like the wonders of podcast editing. Those of you that don't know, I do the show Text Trek Live on Fridays as part of this hashtag TQIF lineup every Friday at 7 p.m. Central. But we also release that show as a podcast. And yeah, me and Marcelo, we were talking about the different, I guess, techniques used. And
Hmm.
I'm the first one to admit, like I'm not like a sound guy. I'm not like an audio dude. I don't know a ton of like producing audio, and to this day, like I'm not sure if like I'm doing always doing things great, but yeah, like my technique is I just like record everything on Audacity because it's easy to get, and then I just combine everyone's audio and I do some noise reduction for each track, and then
Hmm.
normalize and compress everything.
My podcast flow, for those of you who are very interesting, for my main show, what I do is I use this microphone that you see on screen right here, with this beautiful windscreen that has saved my life. Um, of popping and shit. Because before I
Yeah,
had this windscreen, it was a disaster. I had to basically do surgery on everything I said. So basically, what I do is I record both of my podcasts with QuickTime, but for the second podcast, me and my co-host use Zoom as a backup recording, but we record our audio separately, and then is whoever is editing that episode for me, if I'm editing that episode, I take the audio file and I make it into a video on iMovie. I export that file as a video. I convert it back into an audio file, and then I put it into a program that I have where I set all the levels to industry standard. I do audio reduction. I run a pass filter through it. I level it. I remix it, and then I post it as a WAV file, which is a high quality audio file for those of you not in the know. But that's usually my workflow. And I just started. Well, I'll say it. I'll say it at the end of the show. But it really took me a long time to get this good, and I'm still not that great. But I'm so much better than I was when I
there's
first
always
started
more to
podcasting.
learn, isn't there? Like with
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Like I bought my new TV last year, and I'm pretty good at like staying on top of like the new TV technologies. And I got this Sony, or no, I got it. Yeah, it was last year. But the Sony 4K OLED. It's the first generation of OLEDs that gets bright like this. It gets pretty bright.
Oh, I have the
For
same. I know. I'm sorry. I have the same TV.
Oh, cool, yeah. So I don't know about you, but like I was trying to do like a lot of like research and stuff before I bought it because it was a big investment for me, and
Yeah.
you know, I feel like I knew so much, but then I would find like these guys on YouTube that actually like they like actually like work in Hollywood, on movies and shit, and like they know so much more about fucking TVs. It's like, oh my god, like how like I thought I know more than like all of my friends, and I still don't know shit compared to like some of these guys
Yeah.
when they start talking about
Well,
some of these technologies.
yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing that I did when I got this TV, is I turned off the motion smoothing feature that
Oh yeah,
comes with this
you gotta
TV.
turn that shit off.
Yeah, I turned that shit off, and also I switched the picture from general to actually dynamic, which gave it a little bit more high backlight, and that really worked for me. Um, and I kind of tweaked the color levels just a little bit to give it a more warm feeling, but I really didn't do much other than that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you can find good resources online if you just type like your TV um, make and model number into
Mhm.
Google. You can there's a lot of good websites out there where people have tested out all the different various settings and have come to some pretty ideal conclusions. So it's definitely stuff that you can access if you just put in a little bit of time. But Ruben, let me ask you, like, do you have any experience with like any type of podcast editing? Have you ever dealt
Uh,
with that
uh,
process?
I've done editing, but a podcast. The only I produced a podcast a few years ago about comic books, but that was we were at an actual radio station, so we had all that fancy stuff there.
Oh, cool.
Um, but as far as the kind of stuff you guys do and making like and what some of these people on YouTube do, they're just incredible feats of editing. They're just amazing to me.
Yeah.
No, I've never really done any of that.
Uh,
But I have edited. I
um.
mean, I know how to use iMovie. I have the Adobe Premiere too, so I've done a little bit of editing.
Oh,
But
yeah. I'm. I mean, for me,
Both y'all use iMovie. That surprises me. I mean, like I use
yeah.
it too. I know much more about iMovie than Adobe Premiere. Well,
well, for
I know
me, for everything
Premiere
I've
is the
ever done
standard, but
personally, iMovie would just did enough of what I
right.
needed. I wasn't doing like
Yeah,
some
if I
Oscar
ever
worthy
did
movie. So
if I ever did anything more ambitious, I know I would need like Adobe Premiere. But yeah,
right.
I'm let's say like the little bit of filmmaking I've done is like
Like I've
oh
done
like
little trailer promos for things that I'm promoting. Like I think I showed you the one for my Jesus Christ comic.
yeah.
Stuff like that. 60-second trailers and stuff with music and whatnot.
I mean,
Like
I'm
that stuff. It's like I only need a few layers and tracks, and I don't need to mess with all
the
the other
the
stuff.
most complicated special effect I've ever done is having me and my podcast co-host Dave be on screen next to the mirror universe counterparts of me and him, and I was able to do all of that with a green screen and iMovie. It wasn't
The
that
most I
difficult.
ever did was a stop motion animation that after I was done, and it was only like 3 seconds long. But I think after when I was done, I was like, I think I've gone insane. That was the hardest shit I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And if anyone's curious about Daniel Co's Beatles final concert thing he went to see in IMAX, he said it was badass. Peter Jackson did a superb job editing all this unscreened footage of the Beatles.
Cool.
And I can guarantee you Peter Jackson was doing that on Adobe Premiere, not iMovie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or have it or something much more
Yeah, no,
robust.
the most difficult thing that I ever did was a podcast that I that I recorded with my co-host where I was clipping all over the place and there was buzzing and hemming up the yin yang, and it took me 6 hours to fix it. No, I'm sorry. The most difficult thing that I ever did was I I interviewed someone and I forgot to tell them that I record everything on one track, and I had up to that point I never had any experience lining up different tracks to make it all one track.
Mm.
And I spent the entire day just lining up my audio and their audio before I started editing. So I must have spent 8 hours on episode. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
The most complicated thing I ever edited was when my brother was in the military, in the Army, U.S. Army for 21 years, and he retired. So when he was retiring, I said, you know what? I'm going to make him a retirement video because I have all these pictures of him throughout his years in the military. And so I scanned all the pictures and got them all ready, and I found footage of paratroopers because he was a paratrooper, and I downloaded the footage and I edited this. I made like a 10-minute epic video with like Metallica and all this music, and it was amazing. When I was done, I was like, Jesus Christ, I never want to fucking edit anything
Nice.
in my life again. It was a nightmare. I get so tedious, and then people are like, but writing is tedious too. I like, yeah, but I can deal with I can deal with the writing. I can deal with that. I can stare at a scene and try to figure out dialogue for hours. I don't care.
Ever,
But
yeah.
like this, like trying to split, and then you know when you see like editing and top-notch editing in Hollywood movies, like they're doing this like fucking split second cuts.
Yeah,
that,
Yeah.
like, you know.
I mean, I saw a picture of the Dune movie, the new Dune, like the Adobe Premiere, the timeline of it, like super zoomed out, and you
Oh,
see where
cool.
like all the different like sound effects are added and all the different like
How'd they
the
do
music
that, man?
and it just it looked in,
Jeez.
like I looked at it and it fucking terrified me. It's
It's
like
like
Jesus Christ.
500 layers and things.
Yeah.
It's like all this shit. Like what?
Um,
Yeah.
Cerulean
I
Blue
will
is
say
back.
one more thing. There's something in the works, so I will be producing a podcast soon. But that's all I'll say about that.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
that's exciting. Something to look forward
Cool.
to.
Cool.
Cerulean Blue has returned. He says, finally got the bong cleaned.
Nice.
Back now. Did I miss Trek Talk? You did not, Cerulean Blue, but that's a great segue for us to begin the Trek Talk.
Sure. Travis there, if you'd like.
So there is some big news this week in the Trek circles. We started the week off. There was a company called Viacom CBS that owned Star Trek.
It's actually a super complicated week for interesting week for
That company is now called Paramount Global, or just Paramount, or like official corporate name is Paramount Global. They had a big investors call where they showed trailers for shows that they didn't mean to leak out to the public. But yeah, there were trailers that some people saw of Picard and Strange New World coming later this year, and there was also an announcement from J.J. Abrams saying that they're doing another Kelvin Star Trek movie. So we can talk about that in just a moment.
I'd like to
And-
say that I don't believe leaks exist anymore. I believe they're all on purpose. This is my conspiracy theory on leaks.
oh, they're trying to turn up buzz on. Well,
Yeah, they're trying to see what people. It reminds me of this guy. I used to do fantasy football, and during the draft, when it was this guy's turn, he'd be like, "Aaron," he'd say some player's name, and then he'd wait a second to see how everybody reacted, and if everybody was like, "What the hell?" You're like, "What a dumbass pick." He'd be like, "No. You know what? Let me pick this guy instead." So he was like testing the waters. It's just to gauge his.
that's smart.
So I was like, that's
It's tricksy,
what leaks,
but it's
that's
smart.
what leaks are to me.
Well, I definitely think that does happen sometimes, but Ruben, this was the case with this for people who don't know. Yeah, and Daniel, we'll get into the Kelvin movie in just a moment, but just to explain what happened, because I didn't really understand this until this morning was when I finally got all the details. But if you don't know, like the investors call that they did, which was just kind of to for them to talk to all their investors and be like, hey, look, this is our game plan for this year. These are our big products we have coming up. We're going to be really focused on streaming. We want synchronicity between Paramount Pictures and streaming on Paramount Plus, and these are some of our movies and shows we're going to be working on. Which we should say the investors were apparently like not impressed. The stock dropped, what was it, 20 points the next day?
It was 21%, 23% was the peak, but then it kind of recovered a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And then I think today it dropped a little bit more.
Well, this was available to stream. There was like an actual event, people were in attendance stuff, but it was also available to the public could stream this. However, when they would show trailers for some of these things that they were showing trailers for, they would black out the screen if you were watching the stream. when they got to the Star Trek trailers, they showed a new trailer for Star Trek Picard season 2. They showed a new trailer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. When they got to those, the guy who hit like the blackout button, like I guess didn't hit the blackout button. So everyone thought who was watching this, and a lot of Trek people were paying attention to it. So everyone thought like, oh look, they're about to just drop this trailer to the public on YouTube. It's going to be all over the place. So we were all like, oh yeah, a new trailer is coming. I thought a new trailer was coming. I'm gonna have to do like a stream to talk about it. And instead, Paramount reacted like no, do not show. If you took a screenshot of that trailer, fuck you. We're gonna get you suspended on Twitter. Like, take that shit down. Take all that shit down. We do not want that out there. So I think this actually might have been a legitimate leak given their reaction. Otherwise, I think they just would have put the trailer, which they should have done at that point. I was telling Marcelo.
I think if it was honest, if it wasn't one of my conspiracy theory leaks, like you're saying, which I believe. I don't think every leak is a conspiracy theory leak, but I do think their reaction was kind of silly though, because it was their fault. Don't blame people. Super fans taking screenshots. What do you expect them to do?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was talking to Marcelo off mic earlier about how something like this happened a few years ago. I remember with Disney with Avengers: Age of Ultron. Before that movie came out, there was a trailer for it that leaked, but it was kind of like a shitty picture quality version.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so Disney was like, well, fuck, we don't want people watching the shitty quality version. So within a couple of hours, they made that trailer available on YouTube.
Right.
And that's probably what Paramount should have done for this. But they, like these people like making these decisions, like they don't put that much thought into it. They're just like, oh shit, we fucked up. Let's go into panic mode. Lock this shit down. So that's what I think happened.
Yeah. It's a strange reaction to me, because at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? You guys screwed up. Screw it. Just release it. Screw it. We screwed up here. It's still promoting the show. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. You're still going to hype up the people you're going to hype up. So, like...
Yeah. But yeah, that was unfortunate. But the other thing that they had there with J.J. Abrams and I was saying recently, I was like, oh yeah, like according to my good friend Larry Nemechek, he says that like he had heard like this union talk about them getting ready to shoot a movie in Atlanta. So I'm not surprised that like the next thing that we hear is that, like, they're trying to lock down the casting now. It was Daniel C.O. was asking what we thought about this Kelvin movie. And I know like a lot of Star Trek fans out there are like really cynical, and they're like, oh, I've heard this so many times. They're about to do a Star Trek movie and it doesn't happen. And this one is still not like, it's not a done deal. This could still fall apart, but this is...
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're following news 24/7, you're
pick
going
up
to
on
hear
everything.
a movie happening and then not happening 1,000 times, because that's the movie biz.
Yeah,
That's
like
every movie.
there's so many scripts that go into development.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you talk to, I mean,
Nonstop.
like Ruben, you know this as a as a writer, and Marcelo, I'm sure you've heard this story before too. But you talk to any writer and they'll tell you stuff like, oh yeah, like I've sold this number of scripts, and then this smaller number is how many were actually like shot, actually became movies.
Even within that, like, you could write, and this happens probably in 99% of movies. The original script is like evolves to a point where 60% of it, no, 40% of it changes. Like there's a famous story of Alien, the original Alien movie, that the only thing that survived from the original script to the final movie was the cat. Everything else basically evolved along
You
the
made
way.
it, Jonesy.
Yeah, it made Jonesy survive 9 lives. But no, yeah, for sure. If you're following Hollywood, like if you're waiting for like the next Spielberg movie, you're gonna hear about Spielberg maybe starting a movie all the time. I mean, you can look into all the time Spielberg said, "I'm gonna work on this movie. I'm gonna do this movie," and it never happens because there's so many moving parts in the movie biz, especially at that level.
When Jeff Johns worked for Richard Donner, the Richard Donner company, and Richard Donner had his own production company, but he was also still making his own movies a lot. And he said, when he worked there, they had like this big board in the office where they had the names of like every different movie every different project that they thought that they might be working on, and you didn't know like which one was going to get the green light, and they would actually like go into production, and then all of a sudden one day I'd be like, okay, conspiracy theory has the green light, we're going to go make our movie conspiracy theory, and that's what it was. And uh but
Like
um
for me as a writer, it's funny enough that I mean, I know going into writing movies for people that I know what to expect. But if you're a writer who wants to just be a purist about your words, you go to theater because that's the only place where your words will not be fucked with as much. Because in movies, forget about it. Comic books, probably it's not too bad depending on how you're doing the book.
you're also not going to make much money, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or in theater either. Yeah, that's the funny part.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But
um
theater, they don't mess with, like, for them to alter a word in a script, they have to call the writer.
Yeah. No,
And,
my friend Jared J. Stein, he's a writer. He was a professor at one of the universities around here. But yeah, like he did a lot of theater work. That was his primary. He did a little bit of television, but he's primarily a theater guy. And yeah, that's what he told me.
well, yeah, theater is delicious for writers. It's a beautiful place. It's just the problem is if you want to write,
Yeah.
spaceships shooting each other and shit, including
Yeah, it
in your
has to be things
story.
that like you can do on a stage, but
Yeah, yeah. But as I mean, for you that you have issues with dialogue, if you want to really learn how to write dialogue, you write theater because everything relies on your words.
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
you can have fancy stage stuff, but 99% of theaters can't pull that stuff off. That's Broadway stuff. So like you have to learn how to tell a story with just words. So you really learn to like listen and kind of control words to push the narrative forward.
Hmm.
So it's pretty interesting because when I had no interest in theater, I ended up working there for 7 years because the 2008 financial crash. I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost my wife. Like it was just a disaster, and I was taking odd jobs, and I ended up taking a job at a theater and staying there for 7 years because I was like, "Holy shit, this is like really cool." And then I started writing plays and directing plays, and I was like, "Oh wow, I actually what I write just happens. This is so cool."
Nice.
I still love movies because I grew up loving movies, and
Yeah.
but like for instance, the feature film I wrote, when I finally saw the final cut, I was like, in my head, I was like, it's 60% my script. I'm happy with that.
Well, like cinema's a collaboration. It's a
No,
team
well,
effort.
that's the thing with film. It's not only a collaboration; it's the ultimate fucking collaboration. It's everything. It's art. It's drawing. It's illustrations. It's costumes. It's production. It's lighting, editing. Like
Carpentry. Someone's got to
it's
build those
carpentry.
sets.
Like it's every job you
Yeah,
can possibly imagine.
costume.
Yeah.
Wardrobe, makeup.
I mean, on and on. There's so many weird
Look at
little jobs.
look at how many Oscar different
Electricians, like
categories there are.
yeah. I mean, it's so many freaking jobs.
Yeah, I guess if you don't want to collaborate, you have to be a novelist.
Yeah, as a writer, if you don't want to collaborate, yeah, but even then, you're gonna have an editor, and
Novel
you're gonna have a publisher.
novels to
Yep.
me, it's ironic because like novels to me seem like the hardest thing to write because I don't know. I feel like maybe I don't have like a good enough vocabulary to come off like
No,
real like
I,
writerly, but
no, I started out as a novelist, and I can tell you the two books that I wrote, um, it really took me a long time to get underneath them, and the two books that I wrote weren't necessarily good, but they were really hard to do.
Well, I mean, your first book, your first scripts, your first whatever is never gonna be good.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's number 100 that where
yeah,
you start to, oh, I think I understand what I'm doing now. I
yeah.
think I'm mastering,
No,
But that
I
comes with practice and challenging yourself, like not being afraid to. Like for instance, I've written pretty much. I started off as a poet. My first published work was a poem.
Oh,
My
cool.
first three published, three or four, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I ultimately started work. I worked for an electronics company, writing product copy and writing technical manuals, and like all that stuff helped my creative side because it. One of the important things about writing dialogue, and not only writing dialogue, but writing stories for audiences, is understanding voice and tone.
Hmm.
And like when you have to write dry as hell technical manuals, where I'm not trying to be fancy, I'm not trying to entertain people. It's just trying to get the point as fast as possible. You have to learn how to do that, and then that teaches you control. Control. Like Luke. And so and so it's just practice, man. It's all just I have a
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited last few weeks because I took on a screenwriting student
Oh,
spontaneously,
cool.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
we're having a lot of fun together. And she's really enjoying it. And she turned in her first assignment, and it was amazing.
Cool.
So
Cool.
it's been interesting talking about writing on a weekly basis with someone. And I just keep telling her, I'm like, there's forget all this bullshit you hear about gifts and all that. The only
No,
gift
just
is persistence. That's
yeah,
the only. If you're a persistent person and you really want to do it, just keep trying. And
yeah,
eventually, either you'll do it or you'll die. Either way, you produce stuff. That's all that really
yeah,
fucking matters. Because like, even you go back to Spielberg's first movie before he was doing what was it called, The Duel
yeah.
on what
No,
was it,
network
Duel?
TV.
The
It was
TV movie,
dual.
right?
Yeah,
Duel, right?
yeah, TV.
Before he
Yeah,
was doing that, his student films, they suck. They suck because
yeah.
it's all about practice, bro. Practice and persistence. That's all I gotta say. Sorry about
Yeah.
my random
No,
No, I
that's
inspirational
really
mean,
rant.
cool.
no,
That's
I mean,
insightful.
I mean, as a as a writer, I feel like just now I'm starting to get into a comfortable rhythm with my with the way that I write and the way that I approach story. But it took me years to get
Yeah, it takes
this
forever.
comfortable. You know, um, and to just say one more quick thing, and then we're gonna stop talking about writing. I promise, guys. Um, just just say one more quick thing. I think what Ruben said couldn't be more true. If you want to get good at writing or whatever the case may be,
anything,
or
anything. Yeah.
yeah, if you want to get good at not anything, practice is key. I mean, look, like Ruben said, you're either going to get really good or you're going to die. But at least you're gonna go out doing something that you loved, or doing
Right.
something that you love to do, and that's the most important thing. Whether you're a writer, whether you're a writer, novelist, or what have you, the most important thing is that you do what you love to do.
Right, and you're putting and like I know this is super heady, but I watch a lot of science stuff all the time, so I'm constantly my head's constantly in the galaxy. But like you're putting no matter good or bad, forget all that because good or bad is determined by the viewer, by the end user. You know, so so you can't
I
control.
am the end user.
Yeah, exactly, but
Yes.
you're putting something out in the world in the universe. I'm sorry, in the universe that would have never existed otherwise without
Hello.
you. Because even we can all take a sentence home and write a story about it, and we'll get four completely different stories. So
What
you're
four
putting some.
stories will we
Well,
get?
your story. I don't want to read that
My
heavy
story is the
stuff.
best story.
That's
Yeah.
that reminds me like one of my favorite
I
writers,
am
Grant
Jean-Luc
Morrison.
Picard, Admiral, retired, and I
Love
have the
Grant
best
Morrison.
story. I defeated Synthulu. I freed the slaved synths. I've come here now to interrupt your beautiful story about your progress through life.
It was a complete divergence from Paramount Dave somehow. That's fascinating. So we were in the middle of Paramount Day
Your
talking.
theater days, Marcello's writing, Father's respect. It was all very moving. But now I'm here, Jean-Luc Picard.
Can I read this quote from Grant Morrison,
Yes,
one of my
you
favorite
may
writers in
read
the
it.
world of comics? But he says, "You've got to remember, in the entire history of the universe, you're the only you that has ever existed and ever will exist. There's nobody in existence who is you, and no one can ever see the world the way you see it and can tell the rest of us how it looks. And it might be so different and so beautiful that it changes everything."
I love it.
Wow, that's
Grant Morrison
great.
wrote Transmet. Was that
Uh,
Transmetropolitan? Was that
No,
Grant
that was
Morrison?
Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis. Okay.
More, I think you're probably thinking of The Invisibles.
Oh.
Was Morrison. Um, but yeah, strangely, writing comic books is that'd be the medium that I'd want to explore the most because it's
Great
script
practice with
based
screenwriting too. Yeah.
and yeah, like I've always been more fascinated with trying to construct scripts because to me like novels seem kind of I don't know, overwhelming. Um,
Well, if you
would
read a lot of novels I've seen lately, I'm not a huge like novel reader, but some novels I've seen lately seem to be evolving into a pseudo script format
huh.
where you're getting dialogue kind of centered and spread apart, separated.
Interesting.
But comic books is
Interesting.
because I've written quite a few comics. I'm actually writing one now with an artist friend of mine, based on my D&D
Cool.
campaign.
They're also another collaboration, but normally it's just you and an artist. So it's more of like a, I don't like the scripting seems to be more of like a direct communication to a specific individual.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've written my Jesus comic. I worked with an artist I never knew before, and in fact, she lived on the other side of the world. She now works for Image. She got hired by Image. I was like, holy crap!
Oh, that's cool.
Working amazing. But
You guys have done. You guys have done such an amazing job on the show. I know you guys are trying to cut it off at 2 hours, and we're talking about Star Trek. But I just want to say, Sterling Blue says, "Howdy, Blue Sparrow. Are you the evil Blue, or am I?"
Oh yeah, which one has the goatee? Does Blue Sparrow have is Blue?
I happen to know that
clean-shaven?
Blue Sparrow's like a twink. He has no hair, so I
He's just
have-
totally bald from head to toe.
No, he does have hair on his head. That's true, but he does not have a beard. Sorry, Blue. I don't know if I'm miscategorizing
Have
you.
y'all been sending pictures to each other? Don't you
well-
don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that
Okay.
on air.
Yeah.
Daniel C. is telling us Morrison is king, but
Yes.
I did want to say something about like this the Star Trek movie
Oh yeah,
that-
get back to
that might be coming out soon. I just want to let everyone know. I understand if you're cynical, if you think I've heard it all before. They keep announcing all these Star Trek movies, they never happen. But this one still might not happen. But this is the closest they've been since 2016, and the reasons why I'm saying that is because they have. I know that they've secured financing from Spyglass, which was the reason why they didn't shoot the S.J. Clarkson movie. They couldn't afford to get Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine both. Now they're only going after one Chris, so they might avoid that. JJ came out to like say this in front of the investors, so I think Helm like coming and doing that, he probably is at least a little confident that they're going to do this. The fact that they said like we're trying to get everyone back, we're talking to them, that means like they've at least already like called these actors and like started conversations, started negotiations. They have a release date, which I don't know if they'll hit, but before they didn't have a release date, and they were almost shot a movie twice before, so I don't know. I don't want to like give like a percentage. I don't want to be like it's like a 50-50 shot right now, because I honestly don't know. But I will say this: like in the 6 years since Star Trek Beyond came out, this is the closest they've ever come. We have and they announced they got a new draft of the script, which a lot of times, like maybe like for budget reasons, or the director is like, I wanted to have like a little more XYZ in there. They'll do a rewrite before production. So the script was written.
Like the issue with now apparently they're trying to sign the actors. That's a whole other layer, because you got people like Chris Pine who are at the level that they can be like, I'll
Script
sign on, but I
approval.
want this changed. I want that changed.
Yeah.
I want to have a topless scene, whatever. Stupid. I mean, it's stupid shit sometimes. So like, it's
Patrick
Trek,
Stewart.
I say I'll believe it. Well,
Yo, they're gonna start filming this fall. They have that locked down. They have it all locked down.
They don't have the casting locked down.
I believe
They're
it when I see the first picture of the clapper.
That's
saying
what everyone
Star
in the
Trek,
audience is saying too. Actually,
that's when I
everyone.
believe anything.
Blue says, PJ says not gonna happen. Blue's like, I'm await. Wow, people are cynical about this movie. You're right, Father.
It's gonna
Like,
happen.
I'm a wait and see
it's
kind of
gonna
guy.
happen.
They're gonna make a movie
You really
eventually.
look at Marcelo's
Yeah.
ready.
It's gonna
Marcelo's ready. He's like Radio
Star Trek's too big
815.
an IP for it to go too long without a movie.
The Red Balloon podcast is ready. Look at Marcelo. He's so excited.
Guys, you do not know how happy this piece of news
Wow.
made me. 'Cause hold on. I have been waiting for this piece of news for another Kelvin. That's right, people. Kelvin. I'll say it again.
Oh,
Kelvin is shouted through the microphone.
I love-
Kelvin, universe movie could be coming.
I love
Sorry.
these
I'm
comments
so
though.
excited.
CV's like, yeah, when I see humans on a set, I'll believe it. And I'll believe it
I'll
when I
believe
see a
it when-
trailer. Oh my
I'll
gosh,
believe
you
it
are
when
so
Starfleet
cynical.
Boy's giving it a 10.
Oh my god.
I mean, this is an extremely different situation from when
Dang.
they from when they announced a couple of years ago, like Quentin Tarantino wants to write a script for a Star Trek movie. That's like, okay, yeah, well, that's pretty a far-fetched fucking thing from ever happening. But you know, like this is a very different scenario than that. But
Yeah, I think I was my first heart attack that day. No, I'm just kidding.
not everyone cares about the inside baseball of this. They're
I
just
was
like,
so stoked. Yeah, it's true.
Well,
You're
and the
right. I
problem
like
is when
that,
you
the
follow-
inside baseball.
Yeah, like I said, when you follow it that closely, it like
Yeah, I mean,
it
no,
But yeah,
starts to
you-
make you a little bit cynical because you're like, there's so many near misses and near hits and near.
yeah, but
Dang.
It's like how- well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I tend to believe that if they get all their ducks in a row, I tend to believe that they will be close to being in front of cameras by the end of this
Wasn't
year.
there a promised filming date though? Didn't they say like starting this fall? We're
They said
filming?
they said they plan on shooting this fall.
Oh, plan on. Okay.
And then they can still hit that December 2023 release date.
I like that PJ. It's the Trek that who cried wolf.
Woof.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, this happens all the time. Like, remember Ant-Man? They announced Ant-Man at I think 2000 Comic-Con 2006 when Marvel said we're going to start doing our own movies, and the first ones we're going to do is Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and Ant-Man. And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna push Ant-Man back to phase 2." And then it was like, "Oh, like we're finally gonna do Ant-Man." And then like, yeah, like finally, like at the end of phase 2, they finally put out after like Edgar Wright had left the movie and all this shit. And then, but you know what? Like Disney wanted an Ant-Man movie, and they finally got their Ant-Man movie. It's just like one of those things, you know. There will be another Star Trek movie. It's gonna happen.
It's not an exact science. Like making a movie is not like making a burger at McDonald's. Like
Yeah.
there's
Someone makes a burger.
thousands of moving parts, and if you get the the studio hires a director, they get Christopher Nolan, but then Christopher Nolan says, I won't do it unless Roger Deakins is my DP, and then Roger Deakins is like, oh, I'll do it, but I'm working on Dune for the next 6 months, so you gotta wait 6 months. Oh shit, okay, we'll wait 6 months. Then 6 months later, Christopher Nolan's like, you know what? I signed on to something else. Oh, okay, screw it. And then Deakins is like, I'm out too. And then we get this other. It's like it's maniacal, but somehow movies get made.
Yeah, you know, a friend of mine, when she found out about this news, came to me and started congratulating me up the yin yang because she know how much I want a new Kelvin First movie. But she asked me something very interesting. She said to me, "So you think JJ's going to direct it?" And I had a very simple answer. I said, "No way in hell."
No, we already know who the director. They've had Matt Shackman signed for
I
a
mean,
while now.
Yeah. So I was like,
And he's brought on his writer from WandaVision to do a rewrite of the script.
What other directorial credits does Matt Shackman have?
The only thing I know of that he's
look
done is
him up.
WandaVision.
No,
I think they're probably following in suit with what Disney has been doing with their Marvel movies, and that is they get young, kind of inexperienced directors who will basically follow the marching orders of what Kevin Feige wants to do. People like the Russo brothers who came from directing TV, or people who've just done like one or two movies that went over pretty well, and
I mean, you want to
they're
hear
still pretty young in their career.
One of the ultimate examples of movie madness is Spider-Man. James Cameron was going to make a movie in 1992 or something with DiCaprio,
as Spider-Man.
We didn't get a movie
Wow,
until
that's
10
crazy.
years later with Sam Raimi
Yeah.
and Tobey Maguire. Like it's madness.
Which Sam Raimi's about to return in the Multiverse of Madness. Matt Shackman has a tremendous amount of directorial credits, but mostly for TV. It looks like.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever done a movie.
Yeah, but he's definitely accomplished. So he could it's probably about.
Well,
time.
TV directing's very. You
Different.
don't have as much agency as a TV director.
But even Spielberg started off doing Night Gallery.
I'm just saying it's a very different
and
world.
like Columbo, I think Spielberg directed. There's a directed episode of Columbo.
I mean, Richard Donner was a director on The Twilight Zone. He directed the episode where Shatner's in the airplane.
But to sort of back up Father's point, Marvel chooses directors for two reasons, because they're good storytellers, and they choose directors that tend
Excuse me.
they choose directors that tend to be more pliable, and by pliable I mean more amenable
Yeah.
to
They don't want another Edgar
to
Wright who
right right right
comes
right.
in. He's like, no, like I need to do Ant-Man my way. I'm not going to comply with your
Shackman's
studio
done one
orders.
other feature film called Cut Bank.
What?
Cut bank?
He did a feature film. Shackman did a feature film in 2014 called Cut Bank. Sorry,
Yeah.
Cut Bank.
Never heard of
Well,
it.
he did 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so that's a lot of episodes.
That's
He
a lot.
did 9 episodes. He did all the. I guess he did 9 episodes of WandaVision.
Well,
How
the
many
movie
were
had-
there?
The movie
He did
had
all
the-
of them.
All of them. That's. I didn't
Wow.
realize he direct. I didn't realize WandaVision was directed by one single person. How could I not have paid attention to
The
that? I
movie
apologize.
that he made was with Liam
So that's pretty
Hemsworth,
great.
Billy Bob Thornton, John Malkovich.
Oh wow,
Cool.
that's a big.
And
And
I
I'll
wanna
say
wa-
that
kinda wanna see it now.
for me, WandaVision was like almost no different from the level of like kind of what they do in the cinema, like what they do for their theatrical stuff. It was, I mean, it felt like it was made for TV, or streaming, but it was better than most, like 90%.
I mean, if anything, I said it was a
in the
little better.
upper-
It was a little better
yeah.
than some of their movies because
Yeah,
it
because you
was
could
able
flesh
to,
it out. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I was
do a
able to
lot
get
with it.
weird and quirky.
Quirky. Yeah, you're right. So I agree with that.
Did
So
Game of Thrones.
he did Game of Thrones. He did Billions. Looks like a lot of
So-
stuff that's just one off. But The Good Wife, he did like 6
Fargo.
episodes, which I heard a lot of good things for.
Nice,
So yeah, it's
Fargo.
about time he got
6 Feet Under.
a film and it's Star
There,
Trek.
there were some other remarks from J.J. Abrams that people aren't really talking about, but I noticed, and there's a couple different ways to interpret it. But J.J. was saying like, yeah, we hope to get everyone back, but we are also introducing some new characters, and we actually have a lot of stories in mind that we're looking forward to showing all of you. And yeah, it definitely sounded like he was just trying to hype up the investors. But the fact that he said like we have more stories in store, I definitely know for a fact 100% that they have multiple scripts circulating at Paramount right now, that they're open to the idea of producing different Star Trek movies at the same time, because they while they were moving the ball on this a lot, they went ahead and commissioned Kalinda Vasquez, the writer Kalinda Vasquez, who's a hardcore old school Star Trek fan. Her parents actually named her Kalinda after a character in the original series episode with the Kelvins, where they turn people into little cubes. What's it called? By any other name. That's a funny one to forget the name of. But anyways, Kalinda Vasquez is working on a
That's
movie.
the other extragalactic civilization that we dealt with in Star Trek before, which was the Kelvins. So we're returning to that in Discovery. But sorry, I didn't mean.
We're not returning that in Discovery.
Wait, there's an
What?
extragalactic civilization.
Yeah,
right?
but it's not
Like-
going to be the Kelvins.
No, I know. Sorry. What I meant is we're returning to the concept of extragalactic civilization.
Yeah, Star Trek's done it a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think might be the case is this might be the final Kelvin movie. If they're planning, multiple Star Trek movies, I just don't see a practical way where Paramount can continue to afford these actors. Carl Urban, he's on like one of the biggest TV shows in the world right now. What's her name who plays Uhura? Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
She makes that Avengers money and like that Avatar. They're doing these
Avatar
Avatar
Avengers.
sequels. They finally, like Disney finally got James Cameron to actually put up or shut up, and I guess like those movies are shooting.
And she's actually about to start. She just signed a deal like last week to do an Apple TV series. So
Yeah,
she's
so
busy.
she's gonna cost a pretty penny. Simon Pegg, in all honesty, he's probably the most affordable of the entire
He's the
lot.
cheapest one.
Where I don't know about the Sulu guy. His Netflix show got canceled. He's probably looking for work.
Oh,
John Cho.
John Cho.
Yeah. But Pine is fucking expensive. Carl Urban's gonna be fucking expensive. Zachary Quinto, he's on a big show now, right? He's on some big show. I think AMC is doing.
Yeah, I don't know what show that is.
But yeah, so I don't think they're going to be able to keep doing like sequels to this. So I think they're either going to like introduce new characters in this movie that might like continue on, or this might like wrap up the Kelvin movies. And me like not talking like what I think's likely, or what I think the Hollywood decision makers are going to think. Marcelo, I know that we're going to disagree on this, but I
Sure.
kind of don't see like the point in the Kelvin universe after we're done with these characters. I want Prime Universe movies. I want movies that are connected to the TV shows.
Zachary Quinto
Okay.
was a voice on Invincible. He was in some show called Inside Job as a voice, and he's also on the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder as a voice. Apparently, he's done a lot of voice acting recently.
Oh,
On
I
Tubi.
didn't know that. That's news to me. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
any of that
mean,
stuff. Well,
you
I know what
know,
Invincible is, but
And he's got a couple movies that came out recently.
I, as a Kelvin lover of the panel right now, I would just laugh it over. Har 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 har. As a Kelvin lover of the panel right now, I just want one
So they
more
can
good
blow
one.
up Kronos.
Oh, shut
And they've taken care of the
up.
3 main alien race home planets.
Dang, you're so awful.
it's gonna.
Dang.
That's how it is.
I-
Chronos is gonna blow up, and then it's gonna have
Yeah.
Chris Pine's signature and Zachary, like the end of Star Trek 6, Zachary Quinto.
And morphing into 2 middle fingers.
Stop it. Stop it. I am in agreement with Marcelo that I think they deserve one more
just-
movie. Just
I
one more
just-
movie for those
I
guys.
They
just
got
want-
3. They got a trilogy.
I know
Yeah.
that was
One more.
Beyond was like a good ending for
Dude, they
them.
need
Yeah,
to
like,
do a
yeah.
new show with
Yeah.
a young cast
I just
that they can
yeah.
that they can sign for 10
Yeah.
movies.
This movie is gonna be so awkward. They're gonna first of all, like they're gonna have to start off and explain why it's like years later. It's like, okay, we got like a new ship, a new 5-year
No,
mission.
and
Well, that was
also-
6 years
also-
ago. What the fuck are you doing now?
They need to
No,
make
no,
it very.
also-
They need to make it a
also-
tight movie on a very
al-
like $80 million budget, 100 million, like tight.
Also,
Yeah, I think
inexpensive,
100.
and-
I think
and they
80
just-
million pays for just
Also,
the
they got a
cast,
bigger
right?
Just
problem.
nails it.
Yeah,
I feel
Well,
like
I
what
was
you
saying
guys
with
are.
the young cast. With the young
Yeah, yeah.
they
It's
got
true.
no. They have a bigger problem that nobody's mentioned yet. I wonder how they're gonna handle the Chekhov thing. Like, are they gonna say
JJ said
how
that
they-
a few years ago.
How are they gonna deal with it?
He said they're not going to recast. He said
Okay,
that Chekhov won't be in the
won't be
movie.
there. Alright.
But I think that if you leave that navigator chair open, you can bring back a few different. You have.
I
options.
volunteer
I want them
to
to do
be-
Eric's from the
I
animated series.
volunteered to be Chekhov's replacement, Gupta, Lieutenant Gupta.
No,
is-
they're probably gonna do
They should
Jayla
do a
from
deep
Beyond.
fake, but make it
Oh,
really
J-Lo
bad.
would make sense.
No, don't do no fucking.
A deep fake, but where the face kind of
No,
never,
no,
never
no,
right.
no.
Every time
No
you
deep
move.
fakes.
No,
We don't.
I
do
really
that
think
in
we
Star
need like
Trek.
I think we need like a Indian Pakistani person on the bridge, and I think or Ensign
no, it's
Gupta,
gonna be
me,
Jayla. It's gonna be Jayla.
Ensign Gupta, Starfleet Boy. So if you guys like cast me,
What if they
I-
because they have the guy who plays Harold, or if they get the guy who plays Kumar and bring
Oh
him
my
on?
god, that's even better. I feel like that's
That'd be
like
funny.
Cal Penn.
Then you got fucking Harold and Kumar sitting
Kumar.
in the front
They
seats on
have
the
to have-
bridge.
They'll be eating burgers.
They're gonna
and,
be like setting a course to White Castle. The fucking navigator
I think
and
that-
helmsman.
and he should be like Ensign Kumar. I think that should be a thing.
Kumar,
Like,
that'd be great.
I thought Ensign Gupta was good, but
What's
Ensign
up,
Kumar.
Ensign Kumar?
Yeah, it'd be like pretty good. I think that's a great
But
idea.
yeah, I think it's a strange idea to do it after 6 years. I think they probably had like a good stopping point. But here's the reason why they did this. And after they had the big Chris crisis of 2018, when they couldn't get Hemsworth and Pine both, and director S.J. Clarkson was
like,
ready to
Chris
shoot.
Crisis. Was that something in an episode or something I didn't know? I don't know about.
The actors were too
I got it
expensive.
now.
Well, they couldn't get the financing. The Chinese company that backed Beyond it didn't make enough money, so they didn't want to back this one. They couldn't afford their actors. Poor S.J. Clarkson didn't get to shoot her movie. She was gonna be the first woman to direct a Star Trek movie. They were gonna shoot in London. They had everything like ready to go. That fell through. Okay, so then. After that, Noah Haley, the TV guy, Fargo. What's the Xavier's son? Legion.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was gonna do a movie with a brand new cast, with the brand new crew. They weren't gonna be familiar characters. They're gonna be new characters.
Yep.
They were getting ready to shoot that in Australia, and then the woman in charge of Paramount Pictures at the time, she's not even there anymore. I forget her name off the top of my head, but she pulled the plug on that because she said.
The script was too. Because if I'm not mistaken, the script was about a a virus going through
Yeah,
the
yeah. Well,
Federation.
this was before COVID, but yeah, that was the story. It was going to be about like the Federation having to deal with the pandemic. But no, she pulled the plug on it because she said like these are all going to be like original characters, and we have no idea if this will make money, if it'll be profitable, because this is going to be such a big departure. So she pulled the plug on that, and then what I think this came out of either Variety or Deadline, but they said that Paramount did market research to see if it was still profitable to use these Kelvin characters, if there's still interest with them in the general audience. And apparently, their market research told them like yes, people still are interested when they think Star Trek movies. They're still interested in like Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto. So that's the route they decided to go on.
Which is the dumbest thing, because of course people are going to be more interested in a movie with actors they know. Like, you're always going to get better results with the actors you know.
Yeah,
Like,
doesn't seem very scientific.
It's not a very
but
scientific way of looking at it. You know
well,
what I mean?
whatever, the decision was made. So
Yeah, worse market research.
it's not the
happened.
movie I would be making, but I hope for the best. I think Beyond was.
I mean, if I were
a
them,
decent
I'd do
movie.
I don't know if somebody. I think I saw someone mention in the chat, but
How about
hire them for 30 minutes of the movie to hand the torch off to a
Yeah.
new crew. Not on the Enterprise, right? You leave them doing their own adventures, and you you introduce a new ship. You expand the Star Trek universe. You have a younger crew that you sign for 20 movies.
You know how Star Trek Generations begins, where you have Kirk and Scotty and Chekhov on the new
Exactly.
Enterprise. You do that, but more than 10 minutes. You do that for longer. Like
Right.
I think you could even do that for most of the movie, but just as long as it ends with the baton is passed by the end of the movie.
And you even have, let's say you have Kirk exploring, Chris Pine Kirk exploring this new ship, whatever, it's the latest model, blah, 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 blah. And then some tragedy happens in the galaxy and they got to scramble all the ships. So Kirk gives this new captain a direct order from Starfleet Command. You need to do this specific mission. Go. He goes back to the Enterprise. We don't see him until the last 10 minutes of the movie, when the new ship and crew come back, barely alive, having completed their mission, saved Starfleet, and they get a pat on the back from Kirk and the thumbs up, and everybody's fucking happy. You get Kelvin people happy. You're still in the Kelvin universe. You got a young crew that you can afford. I don't understand because if the I don't understand what the idea is. Is the idea to do another trilogy with these people? Because you're not going to afford that.
Right? Yeah, it's not going to be profitable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not going to be affordable.
Right. I just don't see it.
no?
So
The
to me, it
other
makes
the
no
other
sense.
thing the other thing that I was rolling around in my head. Well, I've always wanted like a Deep Space Nine, for them to do what they did with Star Trek '09 to Deep Space Nine, and sort of like sort of reintroduce the Deep Space Nine characters or brand new actors for the movies. I thought that would be really cool. But if I couldn't have that, I'm like, why don't you take any one of the most amazing Star Trek novels about an original idea within the Star Trek universe, and do that?
Because most of the novels aren't. Well, I don't know. There's some good novels out there, but
There's plenty of stuff that you can pull ideas from, and you won't have to pay that much royalty to some random.
Yeah.
I would rather do something new, though. I would rather.
I do have to say that please don't touch Deep Space Nine unless it's an HD remaster, which we fully support here at Starfleet Boy. Please remaster Deep Space Nine, but please do not recast anyone or ever bring up those characters again in any other context. Just remaster the damn show and put it and show it to the world. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. God, I saw these. What episode did I see the other day on Deep Space?
Look, I acknowledge that. Look, I agree with you guys. Deep Space Nine is brilliant, but I really, really want to go back to that world, and if I am willing to do the unthinkable.
I don't even know how you would do that as a movie, because Deep Space Nine had it was the most serialized of the legacy Star Treks, and it had like these big arcs, and I don't know how you would. I don't know how you would reflect the spirit of DS9 in a movie.
Man, I saw that two-parter recently where the second part's called Paradise Lost. I don't remember what the first part's called.
Oh, Homefront.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ, that show is just amazing, bro.
Yeah, with Admiral Layton and
the
Cisco's
and the
dad.
paranoia, and I was like, it's so relevant to like now with people and vaccines and
Yeah,
masks
when
and
post
paranoia.
9/11, when 9/11 was happening, and there was all these talks of security versus freedom and
Hmm.
the Patriot Act and all of that shit. I remember thinking about those episodes
Right.
back then.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I got some spoilers. Should we talk a little spoilers, Father, or should we not talk those spoilers?
For what?
Father and I may have seen some. We may have violated the laws of the temporal accords. I don't know.
I don't know what there is to spoil, but yeah, if we talk about that, like Federation security will send Commander Non to kill us.
Okay, I just
So-
want to say that what I may have or may not, I'm not neither confirming nor denying, but what I may or may not have seen of Star Trek Picard, there's some interesting new light. What's gonna happen? Are they gonna drop that shit? Like, what is gonna? I don't even know. Like,
I don't know if you heard when I was talking about that earlier, but
no, I don't think I did. Sorry.
So it sounds like that was very unintentional that those trailers came out. That when they were doing that investor call, they were actually like
Okay,
black screening all the trailers, except they didn't do the 2 Star Trek ones. But
they're
apparently,
definitely
like,
gonna
they
release
meant
it
to.
for maybe Picard's is only 2 weeks away. I don't know if they're gonna release it. Maybe that's a 1 week from trailer that was on that Investor Day call, right?
I mean, they were both short. They were both only a minute long.
Okay.
There will be a Strange New Worlds trailer soon. I don't know if
Soon.
it'll be that trailer. It might be a different trailer.
Yeah, they might cut it different now, or
It might
maybe
be a
there's another
longer
one. Yeah, a
trailer.
longer
It
trailer or
might be
something
some
like that.
different footage.
Okay.
God damn it! I just want to see something. Give me something, CBS. What the hell are you doing?
All I'm
Right.
gonna say is that I was already hyped for Strange New Worlds, and I know that Ruben is because he talks about it on every episode of our TOS discussions, where he's like, "Oh, this would be really good for Strange New Worlds." Like he's just always like, "Oh, I wonder how Strange New Worlds is gonna
It's the
talk
only
about."
show. It's the only show I have hope for.
Yeah, it's like first.
Oh, so wait a minute.
I never
so
thought I
wait
would like Discovery, and
So
I
wait a
don't.
minute.
And I
So-
never thought
so-
I'd like
so-
Picard, and I don't.
so wait a minute. You actually have hope for Strange New World. That's
He's
new.
hype.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Ruben's
because
hype.
it still possibly could be a good show, but I'm scared that it's gonna be the clusterfuck that Discovery is.
No,
I mean,
no.
pre-season 2.5.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I just want to say that what I witnessed, this Paramount Investors thing.
If you saw it,
If I saw it, which I'm neither confirming nor denying.
I mean,
right here.
if I saw it, there's not really any story that was
Yeah.
revealed in there. So I
Yeah,
don't think
it's just like glimpses of images, and they were just like supremely exciting to me.
it's very
I
like
was
sizzle reel. It's like
Sizzle, yeah.
here's a shot of this. Here's a shot of this.
Yeah.
Here, this character is stepping off the transporter pad. This character in the bridge. The ship doing this. The ship doing that.
I may
Shuttlecraft.
Have yeah,
Sorry, just had to say it. Anyways, go on.
I may have seen or may have not seen some images of something.
Everyone
And-
may or may
and-
not have seen
yeah,
something
and-
this week.
and-
It's
I really
like-
have not. I really
And
have.
Ruben is the only one who hasn't.
No,
It's true.
and if those images are to be legit, those images are really, really interesting and outstanding from a visual standpoint. So I'm excited to see if those things are real.
There's basically like all the imagery I think that was posted online, and we've seen plenty of it. All I can just confirm that was in the Paramount stream. That's all I can say, is
By the
that
way,
it was
by
on
the
the
way-
Paramount stream.
by the way, where could you have gone to see the stream if you were in the public?
On
where-
there, it was streaming on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't on YouTube, I don't
Oh,
think, but it was.
It was
on
like a
the,
Was
thing.
it on? Was it on?
But they
Paramount?
took it down. They took it down off of their website.
Yeah, it's
It was
all
on.
gone.
Okay, so it was on CBS or it was on Paramount Plus? I don't.
No,
I
it was
think- I
on
think
their
it was-
investor call or whatever.
Yeah, it was
whatever
on
that is,
the website for the if you wanted to watch the investors call.
Okay, all right, cool.
But it's
yeah.
gone
It's
now.
it's wild because
The only people who have it are people who were like recording it while they were watching. They had like a video capture card or something. They were running some screen capture software while they were watching.
right.
I don't want
So it
this
is-
channel
it
to
is
be
out there.
took down. But I think you can describe all you want. You just can't show it. You can just say like what you saw.
Well, you can say like, "Here's what people reported who saw."
That's
it,"
true.
is what
There
they
you
were
go.
saying.
There you go. Yeah,
Maybe we should word it that way.
that's a good way.
I
of
don't know.
wording it.
Like, I'll just tell people that you should. I liked what I
Just
saw.
wait.
If I saw anything, I might not have seen anything, but if I did, I might have liked it. So maybe just be patient and
And if
look
Starfleet
forward
Boy
to it.
saw it, he would probably give it a 10.
No, I mean, this is,
He
this is,
did.
yeah, yeah. I
Marcelo,
mean,
if you stick around for the after show, I have a treat. Never mind. Never.
yeah,
Okay.
this is no,
I'm sticking around now for sure.
no. I actually, um, this. My anticipation for seeing the Strange New World trailer is as excited as I was to see the first look at Discovery, way back when.
Back in
So
2017, when me and Dave
yeah,
did that reaction video.
yeah. I uh I am no, screw that. I'm more excited to see Strange New Worlds than I was to see Picard because I'm chomping at the bit here. Father, it has been 2 hours. So do you want to talk about something
Oh.
else, or do you want to start um
I
taking
guess
us home?
we can wrap up by reading some of these comments about all
Sure.
the movie talk. I don't know if Starfleet Boy is probably had to step away for a second, but
Yeah.
She's back. She's back. Starfleet Boy's back.
okay. Do we need to read all of these?
No,
Like,
no. Let's see here. Let's pick a few. Oh wow, there's a lot of comments. Here we go. Oh wow. Okay. Off topic. Tim Russ gets Vulcan neck pinched by Picard after checking a saddle to the catching a saddle to the grill. Love this
oh
episode of
yeah,
TNG.
yeah.
That's
Starship Mine.
Starship.
yeah, Starship Line. We were talking. I think
That's a
y'all were
good
talking
one.
about that. Yeah. Um, damn, it's been 6 years since Star Trek Beyond came out. Wow, 6 years.
Yes. Oh, this will actually be the longest because it'll be 7 years, at least 7 years before the movie comes out. That is as long as a gap as there was between Nemesis in 2002 and then Star Trek '09 in 2009.
Oh my
And
God.
also Star Trek '09 to 2023 is a 14-year gap. That's much bigger than going from 1979 to 1991. So the Kelvin movie era will actually have, if they get this movie out, the Kelvin movie era would have taken place over more years than the original series movie
That's
era.
insane. Wow,
Oh
that's
wow.
insane. PJ says if they make it. Ooh, whoa. Sorry, guys, that was crazy. It happens.
They make it for less than 100 million, they could make a profit, but it needs to be something special. I think they would need like at least 100 million to be able to afford everything. But
Efficient movie.
Somebody somebody wants you, Starfleet Boy.
I was yeah. Oh, you heard the phone ringing again?
Yeah.
That's so
I heard it
crazy.
vibrating this time.
Oh, this time it's
You
vibrating.
you have been found wanted.
At midnight 30. That's like a booty call, right? Like that's kind of like that might be what that is. Neither confirm nor deny. '09 and beyond are decent, but we can't have another Into Darkness.
Oh no,
The-
I don't think we're gonna get that. Hell no.
Why the hell?
Star Trek Into the Multiverse of Madness. What if the film does a
could-
crossover? It could do a crossover and give Father the prime dream he's been the prime film dream he's been dreaming about.
I would just rather, I think fleshing out the Prime universe to me is like a big like canon dude, is a big like continuity guy. Fleshing out the Prime universe to me is much more interesting than fleshing out the Kelvin timeline. And
What if-
anything you do in the Prime timeline is gonna have like more consequence. To me, it'll be more meaningful to watch. Like,
What
yes,
if the fourth Kelvin film is a crossover with Giorgio? Did you guys already talk about that? Like if Emperor Giorgio ends up on the big.
I don't
because-
think they would do. I think it's. I don't think it's going to be
No, I do
tied into
not
any
want
of the
that.
new shows, though.
Oh,
I would
okay.
be utterly
Introduce a
shocked.
new verse.
No.
A whole new verse. A whole new verse.
Well, there are. We know there's lots of other
the
verses.
Funhouse Mirror.
Star Trek Discovery season 4 is dealing with the character who's trying to get back to his verse or
It's
get
all the
to a
characters
verse.
we know, but they're
Yeah.
like kind of like wobbly, like they're in Funhouse.
Hey,
Mirror.
Fathery, real quick. I don't know if y'all talked about this on Text Track. I'm gonna go back and listen to it tomorrow morning. But did y'all talk about like Target keeps calling it home where he wants to go? So I'm a little confused. He keeps saying I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, he said he explained that a couple episodes ago. Maybe people forgot over the mid-season break, But
I'm possibly one of those people.
He called like the universe. He's like, that's gonna be my new home. I'm gonna go home.
Oh,
there.
he keeps the new, but
He
it just
hasn't
made
been
it-
there yet.
He hasn't been
yet.
there. Okay.
Yeah, I think people forgot that over the during like Christmas and shit. But
Did you all read Cerulean Blue's off-topic comment already?
yeah, we did that one.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's see here. Wow, there's a lot of comments. What if the next Kelvin film is handing off the torch to reboot a TNG? You guys already talked about that a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
I am not really interested in a Kelvin TNG. I think that probably seems obvious to Paramount to be like, oh yeah, well, like we can just like reboot the TNG people, but
But you all did talk about
that's not
this
something I'd be
Kelvin,
interested in.
like a Kelvin Generations thing, like where they kind of hand off.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd rather it be a handoff to like Kelvin Matt Decker and Kelvin Ilea and Kelvin Eriks and Kelvin Imrus and bring back Jayla and then make
That
up a
would
new
be cool.
character.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and then you
I
can do,
think
like,
they
Star
should
Trek
just put
Phase
an
2,
end
for real.
to the Kelvin timeline because all these actors, like you guys were
Or just
saying,
end it.
are like super gone off.
Just,
And
It's
not the
Beyond,
same.
Beyond
The
felt like such an
entire
obvious
universe
ending.
blows up.
Beyond felt
They
like
use blue matter to destroy the entire Kelvin.
blue
Oh,
matter.
Out
It's
of
called
those
Blue Matter?
three
Wow.
movies, they made, Beyond was the first one that felt like the end of like a series of movies. You know, like Star Trek '09, it ends with Kirk being in command, and you're like, oh, they're gonna go make a sequel.
I'll say
And-
this: it felt like more of an ending than Nemesis. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Generation." I mean, Nemesis was the last, and it's all good. Like it felt like a last film, and I'm like, no, it never felt like a last film.
I disagree with that. I think
me.
Nemesis felt like more of an ending than Beyond, but Beyond felt like a
Interesting.
ending also.
I feel the opposite. That's funny.
No,
That's
I mean,
interesting.
you know, but Nemesis to me, I would have to agree with Father in that the Nemesis to me felt like a really, really shitty ending to.
That's not what Father just said.
to-
He said it felt like an adequate ending.
Oh, it is a shitty ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
never mind.
But it
Sorry.
felt
yeah,
like
but
an
it,
ending.
no, but it felt.
Oh, I
to
get
me-
it. I get it. Okay.
I mean, they blew up Data. They
Yeah.
Troy and Riker
Yeah,
move off
Data
the
gets to
ship.
die like a hero.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
And then not.
to me, Nemesis was a really shitty ending to my favorite era of Star Trek. I'm a TNG guy, so that one.
Well, we're getting it with Picard
It goes
season
on.
1, 2, and 3, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Sunday, Father and I are finishing off our season 1
Sunday,
Picard.
Sunday.
Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Central. We're going to talk about Et in Arcadia Ego?
Parts 1 and 2.
Ergo.
Yeah,
Ergo,
yeah.
Ego.
Are you guys done yet?
That's
Is
Wednesday.
that the last one?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
that'll
it.
be it.
Tomorrow, not tomorrow, Sunday. We're doing that. Da-da-da-da. And then the week after, Picard season 2 starts, which is exciting.
Picard!
Chekhov is reassigned to be the new first officer aboard the Reliant. They could say
That's
that.
exactly what I would do. That's
That's what it
100%.
was, yeah.
I would just have a line of dialogue saying like, "Oh, I miss Chekhov, but he's living it up, getting that promotion transferred over to the Reliant." And that's all you need. Just throw that in there. Good for him.
Shatner is anti-deepfakes until the artists have added to future contracts. CG likeness is paid same. Oh, interesting. So Shatner's interesting. He's
That is.
interesting.
I
it's
kind
like
of
interesting.
understand that. Like, it's weird to use these people's likenesses like after they've died.
I would not allow it.
That's really
I don't
weird.
even
Yeah.
give a shit if my estate is okay with it. Like, I'm dead. I decide what movies I'm in. Not my brother or my cousin or my great grandfather.
No, just.
I
no,
fully consent to Starfleet Boy's likeness being used as much as possible, as long as you pay whoever my next of kin that I name in my
What if they
will.
make deepfake porn with your likeness?
As long as it's paying my next of kin, I don't care. I'm dead. I'm a dead person, right? By this,
My next of kin can work on
Like-
themselves.
I don't feel like I would have any care because I'd be dead. Like my legacy would, the true believers would know that like Starfleet Boy would make porn
But what
that's
if
way
people-
more decent
What
than
if people
whatever
are
the.
watching these
the
on
deepfake people are
YouTube a
putting
1,000
out.
years in the future?
I hope no one's watching porn on YouTube 1,000 years in the future, but maybe society will be like that cool by then.
No, I mean
but
if
don't know.
we're watching Starfleet Boy After Dark. 1,000
Oh,
years in the future.
that would be
Someone
insane.
is listening to this now, and it's the 31st century.
Hello, 31st century person. Is programmable matter like a real thing, or is it even wilder? Like, what's it like? Can you resurrect me like they did in AI just for 24 hours so I can check out what everything's like before?
They would hate
Yeah,
you though. They would be
yeah,
like,
so-
you're like a fucking barbarian. Like
What?
how, like
Oh my god.
compared to us future people.
They would like throw rocks at me and see
Well,
see what it
even
feels like.
The sound of your voice hurts their ears because they don't speak anymore. They
Oh
just
my God.
communicate like
They're like,
telepathically.
I have like the weirding way. Did you guys? Did you?
They're like,
Did wait? So you guys talked about Peacemaker tonight. You guys talked about what else?
Podcasting.
podcasting, and then we
Podcasting.
talk about this Star Trek.
Star Trek.
news.
But you didn't talk
ranted
about
about
Raised by
writing,
Wolves,
bro.
right?
No, ain't no one watched
No, I don't watch that.
Y'all don't watch that, okay?
Nope.
that. I've never seen a
No.
single episode of Raised by Wolves.
I don't
And
watch that.
what's up with Superman and Lois? Like, why do they
No.
take breaks without telling us?
Because
Like, they're just-
CW programming is fucking whack.
It sucks. It's whacked. I agree with him.
Because
It's whack.
fucking network broadcast programming is archaic
awful.
and stupid and
It's awful.
is on it's about to die as soon as like all the boomers that still watch network TV and watch commercials pass
Dang.
away, then it'll be a dinosaur. But yeah, that's
There's nothing
we're
else.
we're in a
this week, right?
transitional. No,
No,
except
not
for
really.
these remaining comments. But I think
Oh, we got through all of them. Starfleet Boy
Oh,
into
that's it?
dark porn is the only other comment. And
oh okay.
A New Home is
all right,
his
guys.
friend told him off place that was better. And then CW stands for crazy whack.
Indeed, PJ, he knows what's
Crazy
up.
whack. Yeah.
Crazy
But well, I think we're done. I think
We are done.
You guys did a great
so
job.
now we're gonna
Thanks.
start our rewatch of what Star Trek 1, and then Star Trek 1
No,
again, but
the next
backwards.
We're only
Braxton-
watching the prime
Backwards.
numbers to celebrate
Yeah.
the prime universe. So that's
But-
gonna be what 2, 3, 5, 7.
Those are the
Oh my
the
God.
prime numbers.
They're not
and
numbers.
what's 11? Would be
that's
Star
2009, right?
Trek, Star Trek 09, yeah.
Yeah,
and
09,
then Beyond is 13. So yeah, we're just doing the prime numbers.
I like that. That's really
Even
fun.
though two of them are technically not prime, they're Calvin.
Prime Calvin. What do you all have to promote to the audience tonight? And thank you so much for holding down the fort. I'm glad you guys did a great job without me. I feel like you do this every day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, actually, I like this. I like this show
Without
a lot
Starfleet
more.
Boy.
No,
It's
no,
a
no,
lot better.
hold up.
Like when Starfleet
Hold
Boy's
on,
not
no,
here, it's
no,
such a
no,
better
I'm just-
show.
no, no, I
We
was
can
just- I
actually
was-
talk about what we want to.
No,
I'm
but
just
I was
kidding.
just I was just gonna say I like this time sort of co-hosting than I did my first time. 'Cause,
Oh, right on.
yeah,
Yeah, you were
this-
more natural and comfortable.
This time was a little bit more relaxed, and the conversations were a little bit more free flowing. I thought. Anyway, I would just like to promote my stuff. I do a lot of crap, as those of you who are part of this YouTube channel know. And the best place to find me and all the crap that I do is on Twitter. I'm at CreekFanatic88. Also, I have two YouTube channels where I do YouTube stuff. My personal channel is Balloonhead Productions, and my second channel is the channel dedicated to my second podcast, and that is simply Radio 815. Thank you for having me. I was really glad to be here.
Thanks for helping me out. What's up with you, Ruben?
Articles on monkeys fighting robots, pop axiom. Just follow me on Twitter at rmartian, and you'll find most of my stuff there. I guess
And
I'm
Ruben,
technically
thank
a screenwriting teacher now, so if anybody wants screenwriting lessons,
Ooh.
hit me up.
Oh, are you on Fiverr?
No, it's a weird story, but yeah, I just have this one client who I'm teaching screenwriting to.
I want to learn. I might
Ruben,
be your
can-
next
can
client,
you-
actually.
Can you be my Chadich? No.
Chadish. You're screenwriting Chadish. I might have to hit you up and get some of that consulting going on there too. That's
I've been
cool.
watching Righteous Gemstones on HBO, but after I'm done with that, I'm gonna watch Raised by Wolves.
Oh, cool.
Oh, finally, and then I'll do a podcast with you on that. Just let's see how we do. We'll see.
I'm gonna watch Raised by Wolves, but I gotta do For All Mankind and Foundation.
Oh,
still
that I
haven't
want to do.
done
I
for-
do want to do for
For All
Mankind.
Guess I should
Mankind,
technically
you
finish For All
guys
Mankind,
have to
too.
get on that show. How many times have I?
We're gonna get there. Fathery, what's going on in your world?
Well, as always, you can find me every Friday night live on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central for Text Trek, where we discuss the newest episodes of Star Trek every week. If there's no new episode, we talk about some of the older episodes, but we haven't had to do that in a while. And you can also listen to that show as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we're currently working our way through Star Trek Discovery Season 4, but very soon we'll be covering Picard in addition to Discovery. And then, of course, later in the year, Strange New World, as well as Lower Decks and more Prodigy. So, yeah, lots of stuff, lots of Trek to talk about, but we are eager to do it every week.
Right on. We are going to come back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about the frickin' episode, The Tholian Web, which is like an epic episode. Season 3. Oh, what is that? What's going on there?
We'll find out.
This is tomorrow. You can figure it out if you know yet.
Oh my gosh.
Tholian
it's gonna be
technology.
really awesome. So yeah, we'll do that. And then Sunday we're going to be talking. Tomorrow we're also, well, if a trailer drops for Star Trek Strange New Worlds or for Star Trek Picard, Text Trek is going to stream at some point tomorrow. So keep an eye on the interwebs for that, right? Father, is that correct? Like it, if something happens tomorrow.
There's nothing's going to happen on a Saturday.
Okay, if it won't happen, it's
yeah.
going to happen. Okay, cool. All right, so then we're doing...
They don't release news on the weekends.
So after Starfleet Boy Actual takes care of TOS, we'll be on Earl Grey Trekkie's channel talking about the latest Doctor Who episode in our journey, which I can't remember what it is right now, but it's the one after Silence in the Library and the Forest of the Dead. What is that one? Turn Left. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites. Turn Left. I can't believe I couldn't forget. I'd forgotten that that's what it is. Anyways, so I think Turn Left is tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. And then Sunday we're doing Star Trek Picard, the finale, part 1 and 2 in Arcadia Ego or Ergo. Is it Ergo or Ego? Which one was it? It's Ego. Yeah. I'm excited about that. It's going to be a 2-parter, just like we did last week, which was a lot of fun, Father. A lot of people wrote nice emails to me, so I appreciate that. Also, if any of you guys want to, I have to put this out there as a favor to some of our minority TV viewer audience members, but if any of you guys are interested, please let us know either on Twitter or here. If you want to have a Gilded Age Starfleet Boy After Dark, or even a Starfleet
I don't even
Boy.
know what the hell that is.
The Gilded Age is the new Julian Fellows show.
Who's Julian Fellows?
Yeah, he did Downton Abbey. Are you familiar with Downton Abbey?
I've heard of Downton. I've never watched it, but I've
he's
heard
the
of
Gilded
it.
Age when
he's the creator of Downton Abbey.
Yeah, he created this new show called The Gilded Age, which takes place in the late 1800s in New York City. So
I'm sure people probably think it's weird that I rewatch Star Trek nonstop. I've seen most of Star Trek at least 5 times. So I guess just different strokes for
different strokes for different folks. I like that.
But I can't imagine why anyone would watch that. But
if you're interested in the Gilded Age talk, hit me up and let me know. We'll do a sidebar thing. Tomorrow, Saturday night, we are going to do a discussion with Kevin of Nine from possibly, this might not happen, but stay tuned. We're going to do a discussion of the Peacemaker finale with Kevin of Nine on Starfleet Boy After Dark. And we did this cool... Kevin of Nine.
you know what I watched tonight, too? I watched the first 2 episodes of Bel Air on Peacock.
Oh, interesting. And then
Was it any good?
I want to see that
That's
too,
right.
actually. It's on Peacock. I can watch it. I might watch it tonight. That's cool.
do you have to have the paid Peacock to watch it, or is it available?
I have the paid Peacock, so I don't know. Maybe.
I can't believe you paid for me. It's so
Why not?
good.
It's the
I do
hardest.
too.
Better than Paramount
No, I
Plus.
do too, but it's not that it's
There's
just
actual
funny.
movies on there to watch.
There are movies. That's true. Paramount Plus is worth its cost in Latinum for me. But anyways,
No, I watch it. No,
I get it
watch a
for
lot of
free,
stuff
so
on-
Paramount Plus is worth every penny.
No, I watch a lot of stuff on Paramount Plus.
anyways,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, me too. But
That's
anyways,
mainly Star Trek.
the other show that they told me to ask about
Other
if
than
there's
Star-
any interest.
I know you watch 1883, but other than Star Trek, what do you watch, Father?
Murphy Brown.
What did I watch
Not
on
on
there?
there.
South Park.
Columbo.
I've been
It's-
meaning to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender because I haven't seen it, but I haven't been able to make time to watch
It's on
that.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll check it out.
and Legend
I
of
want to see
Korra.
that too.
I'm gonna watch Halo on there when that starts. I watched The
Yeah, I'm excited
Stand,
about
the
that.
Stephen King show.
How could the stock go down? People
Uh,
weren't excited about Halo and Star Trek. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it might have. It wasn't necessarily the content, but it might have been just some of the
Can I tell you something
the
anecdotal?
strategy stuff.
Can I tell you something?
Let's-
Oh, that makes sense. Can I tell you something anecdotal about Apple when I worked there? The stock always went down after every new release when you thought the most hype, like there was the most hype from regular people, but the stock always went down right at the announcement of a new product.
Well, a lot
and
of
then
times,
it shot back
whenever
up.
you're changing directions, that
Yeah.
can make like investors nervous.
Yeah.
21% for a stock that's already down.
You know what it tells
Been
me?
down.
You know what
is
tells
not
me?
good.
You know what that tells me? It's
Apple
time.
did not drop 21% after announcing a new iPhone.
I'll tell you what it tells. A 21% drop in the stock price tells me it's time for Starfleet Boy to invest $1,000 in Paramount and get that shit while it's low, so that when it gets high, I can sell it, and then boom, I'll have that Star Trek money finally that I've always wanted. Anyways, live long and
It's very
prosper.
Ferengi of you.
That is very frank of me. Hey, it's infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Although, personally, I'm more of a socialist communist in real life, just FYI. All right, live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time.